June 13th, Tourism and Arts Commission meeting where we'll be interviewing our grant applicants. And we'll start with the gallery group. Hello.
Hello. So I'm definitely.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have 3 applications. Year-round marketing, stormy weather, and spring unveiling. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So no earth and ocean.
No, Earth and Ocean is every 2 years.
Okay,
So, but because it falls in September from a funding standpoint,
was
we had it approved last year.
last year.
So this year it's not on. We will next year, at this time,
Have that.
we'll bring that forth.
Okay, perfect.
For the one after, because we have one this year. So the next one will be 2026. So we figured we'd do the,
Through there. Can you remind me what date that'll occur this year? September? Do you know?
Ocean.
Yeah.
It's September 20th through the 20, I gotta double check.
And-
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes,
20 through 22nd.
Okay,
20th through the 22nd.
okay.
In the original. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Jeff Hull. And I'm Joe Clayton. He's the one that really matters. Last year, we had asked to do it the second week in September. Several members of the TAP committee asked if we could move it back a weekend. So that wouldn't be a conflict with the cottage tour.
Correct.
And our members had no problem doing that at request of the TAP committee, so we did that.
I remember that. Thank you very much for doing that.
No problem.
That's great. Okay, and so, and just looking through here, I think that the only, I know we've already set that in stone, but I think that Northwest or the Coast Walk might have a day or 2 overlap, just so you know.
It is that, yeah, it is that Friday and Saturday. I don't know if they do Sunday also, but
I think we're well, we'll find out, but I think we're the first leg of it.
Yeah,
this
we're the
year.
first, like, so that shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
so yeah, I don't,
And what's interesting with the Earth and Ocean, it benefits, we shoot to benefit 5 local environmental charities and, environmental organizations.
yes,
And basically, they have that we're going to be utilizing the chamber along with them because they need it in the morning and in the evening, but we're doing it during the day. So we're working
Fantastic.
closely with that group as well.
great, perfect.
And our ultimate goal that for us, that was Eva from Dragonfire brought that to the table about 4 or 5 years ago to do something that we could give more back.
Back.
So the Earth and Ocean has been a pretty good event. All the galleries have raffles. We donate a percentage of a lot of us donate a percentage of our sales to support the environmental.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for the update on that. Where would you like to start with these 3?
I guess we'd probably start, I would go in order being first, the Stormy Weather's Arts Festival. Even though stormy weather is, or has always been put on by the chamber, because the galleries are a major part of that, we do things with them together. One of the things that we've done is provided them funds so they could upgrade their program that they give out to people coming in. And again, it's due to the fact that galleries are in it. So we want to give it the right presentation. They've appreciated that in the past. We've worked together to make that happen. We also do some co-marketing wherever possible.
Okay. And last year you were given 7,500. The ask this year is 800. Is that 8,000? I mean,
Yeah, the increase is just due to, we've had some gallery changes, a couple gallery moving out of the the group and then some of the sponsorship that show
Okay.
in town as different groups have come in. So it was more just trying to make that up a little bit.
Okay.
Can you tell me what the 6,000 for advertising is? Is it mostly on the event brochure or
Pardon me?
that you have 6,000
6,000.
noted for advertising?
Sure is a 2,500
Oh,
and then
that's separate. Okay.
And then the 6,000 is the advertising we do. What we do throughout the year without advertising that basically promotes all the events that we have, stormy weather being one of them because of our client base. Number two, in our art brochure that we put out, we also highlight those events. So we have somebody in, we always tell them, hey, are you aware of the festivals that are here in town? And, a lot of people aren't, so we walk them over, show them and walk them through the brochure and part all those out.
So it's more for the overall brochure rather than the event brochure.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
That brochure, we actually pay for rather later down. This event brochure is the $2,500 we give directly to the chamber so they can give a better brochure out.
Oh, okay. So that's given to
The
the,
event,
gotcha. Okay. And then the social media, the digital advertising is broken out separate.
yes.
Okay.
And we look at social media and advertising because a number of our galleries are how can I put this, our clientele base is of a slightly older nature, like myself. So, rather than try to push everybody to social media where they're not, we tend to do both at the gallery group where we both look at our whole dynamics, because with 8 different galleries, we do have slightly different customer bases.
Mhm. Okay. If I recall in the past, are you still partnering with Explore Media or any of that in these events? Or
Yes, but we
Okay.
generally cover that under the market.
under the marketing? Okay,
Now, initially, we used to try and do it that way, and there seemed to be a little bit of a confusion both within ourselves and I think the committee at that.
okay,
point. So we made the decision to try to make it clearer to say we have some. We sort of do the spot advertising or the larger print advertising through the events, and then more of the social advertising
amazing.
go through
Okay,
social media,
okay.
Explore Media.
Explore Media, okay.
So I was just about to have a question. I think you just answered it, but. So for example, the advertising, the 6,000 for the stormy weather. But also in the year-round marketing, you talk about. Promoting events and so forth, as well as the campaign about every day is an art walk. So this. The year-round is more of what you just kind of described, I guess. And my question is the year-round more of what you described, the social and ongoing, and then this is specifically the stormy weather?
Yeah, it's not 100%.
That seems like part of what you're getting at here.
Well, I'm looking at, okay, so here's year-round marketing. It says have to find it again, sorry. Oh, God, my eyes. Where's, 12,000.
Mhm.
For the year-round marketing all overall. And the stormy weather, you're asking for 6,000 for advertising. And then for spring unveiling, 6,500 for advertising. So that is 12,500 plus another 12,000. All of that's for advertising. So that's 24,500 for advertising.
Well, yes and no, because there's advertising where the ad is actually put out in the publication, and that's what you see in the individual events. For the year-round marketing campaign, we have the ads themselves being generated. We have public relations tied to that. We have social marketing, because we only do so much put in for each one. We have 1,500 because that's the $300 boost we do for each gallery, which is even 3 times 8 is 2,400. So we don't do that all in the event. We're trying our best to maximize the TAP funds as well as our own.
Okay.
So I guess if advertising is social media part, the content that goes into the brochure being developed, if we go content into the advertising for the ads being done, or other posts when we're trying to post different things within social media, then yes, the
So it's-
total is 24.
It's not necessarily then all cost of advertising in Preview or Cannon Beach Magazine or Aqua or whatever the hell, wherever the ads are going. It's also ad production, content production, all the other stuff that goes behind an ad.
And that's what we call more of the direct marketing campaign.
Okay.
And we've tried to do that because then that gives us, with the TAF funds, it helps us provide the marketing for the actual events the way we need it.
Okay.
Now, I mean, we've kind of, I think we do this every year where we start with one,
Yeah.
and we kind of open all three at the same
Yeah.
time.
Anything else? Any other questions? Other I got, if I could answer.
Drea, do you have any questions regarding stormy weather? She on there?
She's on.
She's a boat today.
There we go.
Sorry, I don't have. questions. I think I do have to recuse myself for the gallery group
Oh, yes,
section because I'm on it, so.
Gotcha.
correct. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else have any questions and specifically in regards to stormy weather?
So the next festival, it would be Spring Unveiling. The one, we're looking for an ask of about 65% of the budget, which is pretty standard for what it's been in the past. Again, we have admin because we have, as part of the TAP, we have gotten someone to help us from an event coordinator, and that was in last year's Earth and Ocean. And they are going to make a commitment to help us as well on Spring Unveiling Arts.
Who's that?
I mean,
Who is that?
Brianna Jones, she's out of Astoria from Event Marketing Northwest.
Okay.
She has a pretty good bag. We interviewed her several years ago when we brought someone on board to do the marketing, and we didn't know if we needed someone in marketing or someone in coordination, and just to have an individual here as I'm only been involved for about 6 years, so my esteemed colleague has a little bit more information. He looks a lot younger than me. We hired an individual more from the marketing side to replace Bonnie Gilchrist.
Oh, yeah.
And she had done this for several years for the gallery group, had done a great job, but then she basically wanted to retire. So, and we had interviewed Brianna and we went with the marketing. We should have went with the event coordinator. So
Gotcha.
right church, wrong pew. So she's helping us out this year with Earth and Ocean, and we're counting on her next year to help us with the Spring Unveiling.
How did your passport work out this spring?
Worked out really well. I mean, it serves basically 3 functions for us. Number one, it sort of infers that you want to go to all the galleries. So it tries to push everyone to all the galleries. And we did get, ones with a lot of different marks on it. Number 2, it gives us a feeling of the general number and where the people are coming from. So, that we haven't totally correlated where they're coming from, but last year we did 105. This year we had 45, but a lot of it was due to the weather. Last year, the weather was beautiful. This year we had rain. And, that's the one thing we can't control.
I thought I looked at the passport this year, but now I don't remember. Did you ask them if they stayed in town and if they stayed in a hotel? On the passport?
I don't know if we do that. We do ask for where they live, so we usually use that as a mechanism, but we can add that to the past.
Might be interesting because there might be second
Yeah.
owners in there. I'm not that that's
Yeah, thank you.
not supposed to be as focused on heads and beds as before, but I mean, it would be interesting to know if they came and stayed in a hotel.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely, that's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Our goal is to, calories.
Oh, yeah.
That's really what drives it. And in the past, if you'll recall, we would have kind of a free-for-all on Friday afternoon and evening and Sunday. And on Saturday, we had a pretty regimented scheduled, every half hour to, I think, depending on how many galleries, maybe as long as 45 minutes between. And it worked, and then COVID hit. We thought, well, okay, we're not gathering 100 people in a room.
Right.
They want to. So we have this discussion every year as it gets closer. Do we want to, in some form, implement that again? Because a lot of people love that. So my hope is that we can kind of transition to doing both. But the passport definitely gets people around to some that may not be on people's radar. Otherwise, it's just a good.
That's what we do for our shop hops going down the coast and otherwise. And it's nice because they get put in, the more shops you go to, the more a bigger prize you can win. I don't know if you guys have offered a prize or whatever, what you're doing with that. I think,
Certificate.
yeah, that's what I thought you were doing.
Structured it by number, but we've talked about that as well.
Right. I mean, to me, if they're all in the same town, I'd make you go to all of them and you get entered to win something, whatever it is. So, it certainly makes them drive just that little bit further to get one more mark on there. For me, it does, because we're going all the way down the coast, but they're all here. You can walk to all of them. What the heck?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. There's, kind of always a debate about it. Randall and I were the Spring Unveiling Committee this year. And we really kind of wrapped it up and made ourselves basically a timeline and a punch list for next year, because it seems like we're always, oh, it's in 3 weeks.
Oh, geez.
But there is a frustration just on my part. When somebody just walks in and says, hi, can you stamp my passport?
Oh, yeah.
And literally don't even
Yep.
look. They walk up to the counter, get a stamp, turn around and leave. And I understand that's human nature.
Yep.
But for the most part, it really does accomplish what we're after, which is to get them around. So.
We have the same debate in our little group too. I'm so mad they don't even come and look at anything. It's like, there's always going to be those,
Yeah.
but especially, so you're not out of the way, but like I'd think of Archimedes, especially when it was on the second floor. It's like, you need people to find you and know you're there. Whether they even look around, they'll know that you're at least there. So especially for those ones that might be a little out of the way, you just need to know them to know where you are.
And our goal has always been to just make people feel comfortable. Not everybody's comfortable in an art gallery. Maybe even if it's a couple or a group of people, there might be one or two. And if we can just kind of, bring down the anxiety because they're afraid they're going to be asked a question they can't answer, or.
Right.
So that's a big part of what we're trying to do. And it kind of fits into the passport thing too.
Yep. I love that idea.
What you could do is just kind of create to hand out to those people. Just here's 5 good questions to ask an artist.
Yeah. Well, the first one is,
Well, they can get intimidated. They come up to an artist and what are you going to ask them? You don't want to sound stupid.
I tell people when I'm
Give them 5
explaining this,
to ask.
I tell people it's like they're uncomfortable, like when you go into an auto parts store. I need it is about this big. Immediately feel like a fool. And so, yeah. And just for what it's worth, the most common question that artists are asked is, how long did it take you to paint that or sculpt that or whatever? So that won't be on the list.
Don't put that on the list. Like asking a comedian where they get their ideas from. Don't ask them that.
Okay. Any further?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do you, just out of curiosity, does the Cannon Beach Gallery Group have like a Facebook page that you guys
We have a Facebook
post on it?
page. We're trying to do more with Instagram. A lot of the Facebook is
It goes over to Instagram.
part of the social media
Okay,
funds that we have.
yeah, okay, good. I'll look it up. I was just wondering.
Content for that. Who's posting for that these days?
Oh, yeah, we also have a web page as well.
Right.
We updated the web page. That's a combination. We have an individual who does some posting along with Explorer Media, so we have the same message throughout doing that. That person has relocated, so we are looking to possibly improve that a different way this year. So that's also something that Brianna has talked about.
Gotcha, okay.
So trying to get the most bang for our buck where we can.
Did you guys have the chamber do any of the video production around your events last year, or do you plan?
They did it a couple of years ago,
Okay,
nothing recently.
okay.
Can't remember if that's on the list. I looked
Yeah.
at the list. I can't remember. Is it?
I think so.
I thought one of them was. I can't remember which one, but,
Yeah,
Oh,
Chamber asked for.
well, they always have a video ask and they try to do TAC funded events.
events.
They have done it. I would say it's probably.
Yeah, they try to rotate it around in
Oh,
a couple years.
yeah.
Do it every year for every event.
Oh, okay.
But they're also trying to do snippets, like a 30-second.
Yeah, I mean, because we could put that on our webpage. We could. put
Yeah,
it on
oh, yeah.
our Facebook page. So yeah, I mean, that's videos. And we're starting to do that internally. Our own, a lot of our own galleries, we're doing that.
Okay,
At Bronze Coast.
yeah, it says. Yeah, and we haven't had our discussion with them yet, but there's yeah, they try and rotate it around and. Be nice to. Get one of them hit every.
Oh, yeah, be good.
Yeah.
That would be good. We'd like that. We definitely work with them however they want to.
Any other questions for
Any other questions on that?
unveiling
Okay,
on the
and I'd like,
25th this year? 25th spring unveiling? 24th, when is it?
next year,
May
It
2nd.
was 2001 was our first one.
Okay,
We organized in 2000 and so I think it's
Oh.
fourth.
24,
25th will be next year.
yeah.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Gee, Louise.
Okay, and then year-round marketing, we kind of touched on that already, but
Yeah, again, any excess paid social media, and again, social marketing services. Last year, 2 years ago, we were not in a position, the gallery group was going through some transition, so we did not apply for any TAP funds. So we came back last year. We will be sending some money back to the TAF committee for that request that we made, because just by the way we got everything up and running from not having it going into it, we're a little bit behind. We're trying to catch up right now. And so we're gonna have some money coming back, and that's why the ask is significantly less than it was by 4,000. So.
okay,
So just to let you know, hopefully in the next 30 or 60 days, we'll have all the invoices in and we can come back to you and say, we owe you this back.
So my understanding then is that this money is for things like the overall production of ads and creation. Or are you buying actual space with this money as well in publications and that?
No, that money is the 6,000. That the buying of the advertising space is basically done by the event.
By the event. So
That's where the 6,000 for the
production to support the.
This is production. It's getting all the posts to be consistent, because we don't want 8 galleries just doing it randomly. So we try to do some order, and that's what Explorer Media does. It brings a little bit more organization to that effect.
Okay. You have method in place or to sort of measure where you're getting results?
Always the hard part with advertising.
Hard part with advertising is.
Yeah, that's always been, that's hard. I worked for a small company. We had a board. I had to defend a lot of advertising dollars. And one question to them was always do you know what a Coke is? And why do they advertise? You know, everybody in the world knows what Coke is, but do you know what their advertising budget consists of? And so I think I'm just a fan of it. I just think that there's people who look at stuff, and if the ads are done right, now that's the difference. If you have ads, and why we use Explorer Media, why we've gone like every day is an art walk. If you think about it, you can go to any art show and it's there for 3 days, like these festivals, and you can see a couple hundred artists. But here in Cannon Beach, every day you can see a couple hundred artists here. And so that's why, you know, we're gearing our message more towards this is a place to come. And so, you know, our advertising is, we do some local, yes, to support the chamber and support the local media, but we do Oregon, we do Seattle, we do California. So Southwest art we've done in the past as well.
I'm on the chamber marketing committee.
Yes.
And we are spending way less on print. In fact, we're pulling back even further on print this year. And I think we only have 3 ads running. One is the Travel Oregon, which we're going from a full page probably down to a half a page. I think the ACFA, we're not even gonna do the mile by mile guide. And there's one other one, I can't remember what it is. But we're moving more to digital and more toward using, I don't know if you're familiar with that, we're doing that data. That, shoot, what's the name of that thing that we did? We capture the information from people's cell phones and we can do pushes from that information. And we're moving more to that because it's people that we know have been here and we know what they've spent. So we're doing more pushes toward that, just so you know. You said, oh, well, if we knew where the chamber was advertising, it's like, I can pretty much tell you where we're advertising because it's much.
I was on the chamber committee and for marketing about 3 years ago for 3 years. And I saw when they were.
Remember that.
Oh, yeah. I
Remember what the name of the company is, but it's that Datafy, that's it.
I personally have an issue with it because I'm always afraid somebody's looking over my shoulder. I'm trying to, people ask me, why do you move so much? I said, I'm one step in front of the law.
That's right. It is big data and it's scary as hell.
I know, that's what, that's.
Information. It's good information.
I feel though, again, I think there is another, I think the other thing about advertising to address the question of how you look at it, it's hard to just do numbers on advertising, and they'll give you a lot of numbers, but even when you start looking at, they go by telephone number. Well, my telephone number is from Detroit because that's where I got it.
Mhm.
So unless they can track my home, they may think I'm visiting from Detroit, but in effect, I've got a place here. So not, to me, not all data is perfect. And so when I look at the publishing, I know that has gone down. However, you know, there are some reports out there that some of those for target markets, it's all about targets.
Absolutely.
And that's when I look at the number of people coming through our gallery with gray hair, the amount of money they're spending, you know, and they're still, those publications are still needed. So I agree over time, but by that time they'll be putting a chip in your head and you'll just arbitrarily go to wherever the 10.
Well, I also think that being in the industry that you're in too, you do have a visual, I mean, it's
Exactly.
visual based. So I think an older demographic, visually based, you know, schedule of events through is, you know, I would think highly effective as a grab and go, you know, if they're not asking you questions, they might be grabbing that on the way out and, you know, digesting it.
One thing I've always had in my mind when I purchased the gallery, after I sat there for a day, I said, oh, that's great, but how do you reach the people not walking through that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, yeah, we do Facebook and we have a webpage, but actually we do emails, and we started doing weekly emails, very short weekly emails. And we're averaging about 63% of return on sales through those emails. So we know our market, our client base, you know, they're not on the Instagram. Never had anybody ask us about our Instagram, you know,
But they're opening their emails. A 60% open rate would be amazing.
Yeah, it is. And we track when they expire, or when people say they don't want to be
Oh, the unsubscribe.
unsubscribed, and we don't see, you know, if we start seeing that, then you have to. be
Yeah.
careful. But we took it from basically 30 pages down to basically one page, a paragraph, 5 photos. It's like a menu. You give them a menu and then let them come back.
Mhm.
So, but advertising has always been and always will be, because as I said, I looked at some of those numbers initially and I started asking some questions because a lot of people have cell phones from where they were 20 years ago, not where they are today. So how did they slice and dice that? I question, but.
Okay. Any other questions? This one. Ray, you're recused, so I'm not gonna ask.
One thing I would say for the marketing for the chamber, this is outside of this. I know we're being recorded. No, I think it would be good to know wherever you're advertising, because you can take 5 or 10 businesses in town to somebody for advertising. That may give you leverage, because that's something I was trying to push from when I was on the marketing committee 3 years ago.
And usually so the Travel Oregon Guide
Yeah,
for my business, for most businesses in town, you can't afford it and it's not targeted enough for me. It's often not targeted enough for any other business in town. It's
in your
the whole,
business, please?
I have the fabric store.
Oh, okay.
I'm very targeted. I'm easy to niche market,
Yeah,
but it's usually hotels. Some of the restaurants like Driftwood, it does an escape lodging. So it's all Driftwood and escape lodging. That totally makes sense for those businesses. It would make sense for the gallery group because you've got all
exactly.
this and that kind of thing. But otherwise Travel Oregon is too expensive, but having an ad for Cannon Beach makes sense. And then, yeah, if I was escape lodging, I'd ask to be near the Cannon Beach ad, which I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
So,
And that's.
but I understand you're talking about,
Yeah, but if the chamber's negotiating with the people.
Yeah.
What could you do for?
yeah, a group of us.
Make business.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, get a spread, because there's a couple of magazines out there where they don't even mention Cannon Beach.
Yep.
You know, I called up somebody who wanted my business and I said, when you write an article on Cannon Beach and you're gonna do something, I'll advertise with you. But if I look at a map, it goes Astoria, you know, Warrenton, and it goes down to Tillamook and down here.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you're not showing where I'm at, then it's gotta be a total pack.
Yep, I get it.
Thank you very much
Great.
for your time and
Yeah,
for your
thanks.
support. We really do
Yeah.
appreciate the support, because it really does help the galleries. And as I said, we do try to give back, especially like their promotion. So thank you.
Great. Thank you
Thanks.
both very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who is next since I don't have the
I'm
schedule?
sorry.
Arts
Oh.
get lit.
Oh, but will be.
Bruce.
So we got Tolavana Arts the other 2 later in the afternoon.
Right. True. Comes in on her own.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Tracy next. I got these all out of order last night. Who's this?
All right, June 25th at 3 p.m. is a go.
Good.
Okay.
And
Who is
since
this?
you are all here,
North Coast Land Conservancy. Let's see. Okay, and there's Andrew.
Yep, listen.
And there's Andrew. Here's that. I got that. And then Andrew has another one.
I
Yes,
am.
I want to go this way.
I'm actually.
I know.
At the.
I know, me too.
Oh, my goodness.
I wanted to get everything done because I won't be
Where are
here
you
next week.
going? Where are you
We
going?
are going to the Big Island.
Oh, nice.
We are, so that's next week. I just got it posted online. Here's a copy of that one.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Tracy is still on a Zoom call right now, but she really doesn't start until 1:45.
Right.
A few minutes.
Okay.
One other thing I want to mention is you guys noticed, I'm sure we had 2 new requests this year, the radio and the Maker's Map.
Yep.
Based off of what I understand and from previous conversations with Ashley, the Maker's Map would fly, but I don't know if the radio one would.
Me
So
neither.
I've already emailed it to her and said, hey, this came in, just giving you a heads up, so that way she's prepared to talk about it. Because it's not a facility. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yep.
you know.
That's good, because that.
What about,
What about sea turtles
yeah, sea
forever?
turtle?
So I didn't actually read their application, but we told them back at council, you know, if you did this as an event, you could apply for TAP funding. But I didn't actually read it.
I read it and when I first started the first page, it was like, why are they applying? They just got what, 10-5 on Tuesday from the community grants. Sea Turtles Forever got like $10,000 from the community
I
grant.
think it's like might have been 95. I can't remember
Oh,
for sure.
they got some money
They
from
got
the
money.
community
They
grant.
definitely got money.
And then as I read further, he clearly, I can, now that you've said that, it totally makes sense the way he was pitching it was, well, we have these volunteer events,
Oh, he's trying to say a volunteer.
which is
Yeah.
fine, which is fine. So I got a little bit more interested because I thought, but he says he's bringing in a bunch of people and that they help them do this and they do it at specific dates at specific places. But he didn't say how many, and he didn't even say if they were spending the night, or is it just a day trip for these people or what? So I have questions for him,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
unless it's definitely an event, I can't see us
Yeah.
making that work.
I didn't even think about sending that one to Ashley. I'll forward that to her as
Yeah.
well. She's also on vacation next week. It's vacation time for everybody.
Right before
I didn't-
July.
Yes, but I'll forward that to give her a heads up before
Okay.
the meeting.
Another issue being like, okay, so it sounded like they've done this in Cannon in the past.
Sea turtles?
Yes.
Yes, mhm.
Whether they've been funded before,
Community grants,
always
Not
community
through
grants?
not through us, it's community grants that they've
Okay.
gotten.
So a little bit of back history is they wanted to become a budget line item. And the council talked about it. We talked with Ashley and we talked with a couple other places and our auditor. They said typically cities don't budget things like that as a line item. The
Yeah.
Library is a little bit different. We don't have a city-run library. But what their recommendation is tell them to apply for community grant. That's why you have community grant programs.
Right.
So when he said, we want to do this, we're like, you can apply for a community grant. And they also increased the community grant budget by $20,000. So that is going to be when organizations say, I want to be a line item, we're going to tell them to go to the community grant process. So he used to do a grant, try to get a line item, went back to a grant. But he also acknowledges that when you ask for 10,000 on a grant, you might not get 10,000.
Yep.
And he was looking for additional funding. And one of the things that came up was if you can turn this into an event, you could potentially be eligible for TAP.
So can we add a line item onto the application then is, have you received or sought other funding via
I thought that was on there already.
any?
I think he talked
Well,
about
did
it.
he talk about it?
Yeah,
'Cause
I thought he talked
spaced
about it.
that. Okay, I
He
missed
didn't
that.
say anything about getting the community grant, but
That-
this was due
This was
before he got the money. The money happened on Tuesday.
Okay.
Just approved.
But unless I watched that, I wouldn't know
No,
that he
you wouldn't know.
got funding from
Yeah.
elsewhere.
That was just the work session, so it gets voted on in July.
Okay,
So, but they did have a recommendation of funds for him.
Well, that's right, because then city council has to still approve it. But
Okay.
they sat there and said, well, here's what we recommend.
Yeah.
where's the,
Give you that.
back to the state owning the beach versus the city dilemma?
Yeah.
Is there a dilemma there or not? I guess is,
Maybe we should pick this up later.
Yeah.
Does have a state part. Great.
okay.
A permit. Yep.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, how are you? An old face. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Happy to see your application this year.
I know, my group was like, they're doing it again. It was really, it really went well.
Oh, good. I had a conflict, so I was not able to attend, but.
I attended the Sunday
Oh, this.
because I didn't get a ticket. Try to get
Oh,
tickets.
yeah,
It's all about,
we did this.
Yeah.
for people who can't do, hopefully they can at least
Yeah,
get a taste of it on the Sunday.
you were sold out by the time we tried to
Yeah,
get them.
great.
Yeah, it's tricky. Well, we can talk about it, when we get to
Okay.
questions, and I'll tell you some of the challenge.
To start.
Just that we're applying again, and when I applied last year, it was I applied for an amount because it was the anniversary, and so we were doing things a little bit different. And they loved the format. We're gonna change it up a little bit, but it's still gonna be where we'll have more authors, and so I kept the amount the
Okay.
same because of just the way that everything because we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do that same format. So it's
Kind of from the regular 4 or 5 to like 7, is that right? Okay.
Mhm.
And that was my main question for
Yep.
was, just looking.
Yeah, and we did, we're trying to maintain the level of authors, and so that did include raising our honorarium.
Okay.
Was another thing that we decided to do. Because we have kind of, now they're talking about it to other authors, and yeah, because they have connections. And even one of our authors, she said, I'll try, but to Kristen Hanna. And so we're not gonna hold our breath, but we definitely aren't getting her if we weren't paying an honorary.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
the trickiest thing is our size. It's when we do the dinner, it's we're kind of at the mercy of the surf sand, as you all know. So we're at the mercy of their pricing. We're at the mercy of, we had it, when I applied last year, I didn't take into account the food tax. So that was additional. They raised some pricing on their food. They did some other things that were just a little bit beyond my control. Same with room rates, things of that nature. We do have a contract in place though. So I know kind of what we'll be spending. We'll probably change the menu to be a little bit more affordable, but they require our guarantee literally 3 weeks, almost a month in advance. And so what that means is it's a guessing game for me. And they don't like to add. So, I'm, a month in advance, I'm at 50. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get more, but you have these people who are like, oh, my schedule changed or I can't come. And I'm it's literally a guessing game because I don't want to over guarantee either. So I'm really kind of and I don't know why they do it that way. It's so annoying because the standard in the industry is literally 24 to 72 hours so that I can't lower it if I've given a guarantee, but I can certainly raise it. Cause what I said to them was like, don't you want the money? I mean, I don't understand this. It's the oddest thing that I've ever,
That at all their properties?
what?
No, that Vesta place, do they do that at all their properties or is it?
No idea. It's always been here.
Weird.
It's always, even before the new, when I was working with Sarah, same thing. She was a little bit more, she could say, okay, I'll talk to chef and we'll get it taken care of. But that was the other thing. We had a new chef. The other thing is every year, I swear, I'm working with a whole new crew. And it's, like, for example, I asked for a screen last minute because one of my authors wanted it. And I have my own PowerPoint and they charged us $50 to set up the screen. They didn't even set it up right. We didn't end up using it. And so I kind of questioned that, but they are definitely a lot stricter when it comes to these things that in advance. For example, on my BEO, which is a banquet event order. I said, I want the bar to open at 5 and then the food, you know, I'm kind of estimating timing. And boy, they would not open the bar at 5. I mean, until 5, even though I had people there, which again, didn't make any sense. I'm like, don't you want to make some money? And then they open at 5. And so there's a huge long line. And then next thing you know, they have the food out. And I was like, but why do you have the food out? Like people are still in line. And they're like, because that's what it says on your BEO. And I was like in the past, it's always been like, I talk to the banquet captain. I say, hey, this is what it looks like. Hey, you know, people just are getting here. Let's keep the bar open. Hey, you know, like when I worked with Molly, I'd say, it looks like we're kind of moving into more about 6:30.
Yeah.
Which was never an issue. But for whatever reason, it's, the planning of that is tricky. And so that's where my budget sort of fluctuates beyond my control.
Okay.
So I do try to keep it within a certain price point, but last year we really wanted to do something special. And so, our ticket price didn't match what it cost me in food, which that's on my midterm. That's on my, not my, sorry, I get confused because I feel like I'm giving you my midterm and application because they overlap. So anyway, but yeah, we're super excited to do it again. Like I said, we already have our dates. We already have a contract in place. Terry and Judine, are all set.
Okay.
Be starting to plan it. So I'll just work within, you know, what.
What's you there? And number wise, I mean, I know you've got to set that ahead of time, obviously, from what you just said, but post-COVID, are we seeing?
Yes,
Up to-
I was really happy with this year.
Okay.
Because I felt like we started over.
Yeah. I remember. you
And,
saying.
and this, I think it brought a lot of people back that I hadn't seen in a long time.
Okay.
And again, that's the authors.
Yeah.
You know, the previous year, some of our authors weren't as well known. And I think that hurt us a little bit too. But again, that's why we wanted to up the honorarium.
Mhm. Okay, and then. Only,
Keeping your ticket prices the same. Keeping your ticket prices the same.
Or I'm gonna raise them a little bit, yeah. Yep.
Will it make a difference to you when the school is open?
Yeah, if we can use it, yeah, I mean. I definitely think it would be more affordable. And that we would be able to increase our numbers.
But you still have room to move, to, grow there.
We do.
Okay.
The only reason, again, where it gets complicated is because of these numbers they're making me give them. And I have to play kind of this little game like, hey, this person, are you coming? You know, it's like.
I can't remember who it was. But whether they were trying to front load their ticket sales and doing like almost a lesser fee. I mean, your baseline fee for if you buy it by then and then it would bump up after that.
You don't do
But-
that. It doesn't really work for us. So we are, I don't start really worrying at first because the trend from this event I found is more in the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Believe it or not.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been in that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, sometimes people think I've already done it. And then they
Yeah.
realize I had somebody call and they said, I never got a confirmation.
Oh,
I was like, well, you didn't buy tickets. So, you know, things like that. But overall, it's, we have a lot of repeats, but I think we got some new people and I think it is really keeping that price at price because, when you look at the event and what it is kind of all about, they're still spending on rooms,
Yeah.
on the town, on, you know what I mean? And so a $300 ticket or, even let's say $200 or
Mhm.
100 now, is, I think that would hurt us.
Mhm.
I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, would I love to be able to not have to come and ask for as much money as I always am? Yeah. It's self-sustaining. I know that's always the goal, but this event, the way that it's set up it doesn't really allow for that.
Well, and it's a 3-dayer. I mean, if you
Right.
encompass all the events, so.
Right. And a lot of people, not a lot, but I think the percentage of, we do get some locals, but we definitely get people from out of town.
I
So
was gonna ask, what's your breakdown for locals?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Sorry, it's in my midterm.
It's not your midterm.
I know.
I was just curious because
Yeah, I know.
I see the pictures, it's like, oh, there's Karen. And there, I see all the locals, they pop, their heads pop in and it's like, oh, I wonder how many people she's gotten from out of town. So.
Dinner gets more local than, although because of the pricing, I think people realize it's a way better deal just to buy a full ticket, even if you're not going, because I don't make that price a lot higher. And I'm even thinking about not offering a Friday night price because, you kind of get everything on Friday and I don't want to encourage that lesser amount.
Okay.
I'm thinking about just doing the full pass or the dinner and that's it.
Okay. Any other questions budgetary wise? Anything? You utilize, well, I know Jim's sitting behind you, but video production at your events.
No, we talked about something. Yeah, I know, but I feel like,
Have you done a video for Get Lit? I can't remember if we've done one or not.
yeah, it was, I think in 2018, maybe.
I can't remember. Do you have your own social media account for this specific event? Okay,
Just through Tolavana
just through,
and then our website.
okay, and the website.
There isn't a Get Lit Facebook page? I feel
Yeah.
like I've seen it. Oh,
We do. I'm sorry.
gotcha.
Okay,
I was, yeah.
Sure.
Yes, I was gonna say, that is very, very active. That's our age group
okay.
is Facebook.
It's Facebook.
So
Not Instagram, Facebook, not TikTok.
How do you do authors with
I
TikTok?
have no idea. I'm sure someone's figured it out.
so if our authors are better social media or more social media savvy, that increases us.
Okay.
Jimmy Ford, that guy, he literally, and he was a replacement because Nancy Pearl couldn't come. And he
Okay.
does so much and I think he'll continue
Okay,
to help us and all the authors. I'm gonna reach out again and just remind them, to kind of keep up with the social media for us.
okay.
Is it pretty much Northwest? So I'm sorry, I'm not a savvy literature person. Is it pretty much Pacific Northwest people or are you flying people in from further out?
We've only done it twice. We did it this year with Jamie because he's since moved to Montana.
Okay.
And then, we did it one other year. It was a fantasy writer and he ended up living in New York, but R.A. Salvatore, he had a big following. And Terry wanted to bring in another fantasy. So, but typically, it's
Say Northwest.
try to keep, Pacific Northwest, just to keep those costs down.
I know last year we talked about oh God, the shelf, what you would.
Self-awareness. I didn't,
Self-awareness, you didn't use, okay,
know. I use all local, Portland.
Mercury and.
Yep, and, there's another, I can't, it's not the Mercury, but it's another one that I'm gonna go ahead and advertise, and he reached out to me. Yeah,
Okay,
I felt like those were good, much better than spending like triple amounts
now it's,
in self-awareness and, just really kind of doing the Portland, and I'd like to do more Seattle.
okay. Great.
Wonder if there's a pitch you could do, you and Terry could do to Think Out Loud on NPR, on LPB, like before the event.
I know.
I don't know that guy, unfortunately.
Either.
It's too bad we didn't think, well, the anniversary is a hard one because how long were we shut down because of COVID?
Mhm.
So. Huh,
And what's really,
because that's where the readers are
yeah.
on OPB locally anyway.
Uh-huh. And I sent out a couple press releases, and it's interesting that I didn't really get media until kind of right before the event. I was like, well, that would have been nicer or better if,
Yeah.
Anyone have any other questions? Drea, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Whoops. Okay, chamber, we got fat bike and
Okay,
tours, event.
now we have.
Yeah, what did
Yeah.
they say for the events? I read that last night, but is it in my head? No.
the Chamber.
Oh, there's 3 TBAs, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that was my.
So
yeah.
Sandcastle's in there. Oh, they're doing the 61st annual, not this year.
Okay. Chamber. Of Fat Tire and Event Tourism. Which one do you guys want to start with?
Do Fat Tire.
Say which one sounds more fun.
Fat Tire. Okay, where would you like to start?
Well, being as both of our events are kind of repeat continuous events. Alan can give you a quick recap. Of course, we're in the same situation that
Yes.
that we haven't done our final report yet, but
Yep.
we're now asking for next year's funding. It's always odd for us. in that
Yep.
situation. Of course, having Sandcastle right on.
How many hours away?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
48.
Wearing my shirt.
Yes.
Crazy, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just Sandcastle moves, so it's, you guys gotta do your schedule and we'll make do. But Fat Bike was a fun event this year. We're still coming back from COVID and seeing improvements, so I'll let Alan kind of talk briefly about how things went and then we can address if you have any questions about the application process.
Perfect.
Yeah, so last year we had 53 attendees. It was down a little bit this year. We had 46. Weather played a factor in that decrease. The Saturday, the first full day of the event, we had several squalls while we were trying to ride to Hug Point and back. So I think people saw that ahead of time and they were like, no thanks. And it was mostly people we were anticipating coming to register day of. We had a lot of same day registrations last year. And so there are people who just wait. They wait to see what the weather's going to look like and decide based off of that. So we did see an increase of our attendees arriving on Friday. So the way that the event works out is we have a Friday is registration day, packet pickup. We have a short ride to Haystack Rock and back for the sunset. And then Saturday is the busy day where we have our scavenger hunt, the Hug Point ride, the beach party afterwards. So Daniela and Elliot, who are with Oregon Rides and Events, they're our event organizers, said that Friday night this year was the the most people they've ever seen show up for the sunset ride. In fact, there were so many people that we actually extended the ride a little bit. We went to Tolavana and back. So I think a lot of people are just excited to be here. The word is getting out for the event, which is awesome. They have a newsletter through their mountain bike community that they do a blast on, and it's getting into the Portland area. So we were really, really excited with how it went this year. It was very successful. And then see, what else did we change this year? We did just a small run of some t-shirts. We've never sold merchandise at the event before. So Donnie Masterson, actually in the middle of doing all of his sandcastle poster work, just showed up one day with this big poster for Fat Bike and said, I know you guys didn't ask for this, but here it is.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, it was a
Great image.
Yeah, I did a really good job. So we showed Daniela and she was like, you ask him if we can put that on a t-shirt, and he agreed. And so we I think had maybe 40 shirts made up. And we've only got like 10 left. I mean, we sold a ton of them during the event. So we're going to do a larger run of those shirts and some posters next year. We're like, I heard Tracy say to you guys, we're trying to make this self-sustaining. And so, if we can make some money off of merchandise, then, we'll do that as well. We did increase the ticket price by $5 again this year. This is only my third time doing the festival, so I don't know what the ticket price was when the event started, but we went.
Yeah.
Nobody believed it was a real event.
Well, I love that. I didn't know that. So we went from 40 the past years to 45 this year.
Okay.
We're tossing around the idea of maybe increasing that price a little bit and just including the t-shirt, but we want to weigh whether that's going to make us more money with registration or just selling the t-shirts on their own. We'll do that for us, or maybe just making it an option for people when they register.
I have a question. Does Danielle have an idea of how, or Daniela have an idea for how to weatherproof this event? I mean, I know that they do other events at the coast, not just in Bend.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it rains on the coast. So what do they do on the other ones?
She hasn't, as far as I know, said anything to me about weatherproofing. We try and do it at a time of year where it could be 50-50.
I know.
So.
I want to do it in the summer.
Right.
And even then it's 50-50.
So.
So I don't know that. I mean, because I hate to have it be so weather dependent because you could be in a downpour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Oregon, folks. Don't you ride your bike in the rain? So I don't know. I hate it because, if it had been beautiful and the weatherman on Tuesday had said, it's going to be beautiful at the coast all week, then maybe you would have had 150 people.
Yeah.
Like, man, I mean, I understand there should be a little giveaway, but I mean, I don't know what she does other places where the weather can be inclement.
I would definitely ask.
Asking.
I will ask her about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, she did relate a story to me this year that the beach party, it was like the first or second year got canceled because of torrential downpour.
I remember that year.
They were gonna try and do it anyway, and then someone from maybe state parks or the police said, no, it's literally dangerous. Not do this. So, yeah, we'll definitely ask her that. It's a good question.
I seem to remember a lot of talk in years past about the flags and permit fees and all of that. Has that eased up quite a? Okay.
Definitely, yeah. So my first time doing the festival was 2 weeks after I started at the chamber. And the week leading up to it was Daniela and I jumping through hoop after hoop after hoop because State Park said, oh, by the way, something that had never, we'd never had to deal with as far as e-bikes on the beach. But they had gotten so popular between the year before I started and 2 years ago that State Park said they need a flag. We ended up having to do individual permits for every single one of our e-bike riders. But then Daniela talked to state parks, did the legwork. We are the first event on the coast to have a blanket permit
Good.
for e-bike riders, and we were able to get that again this year. So
Okay.
as long as we have the flags, they're happy. And in fact, right at the end of the beach party, someone from state parks walked up and just said, "Hey, we noticed you had the flags. We really appreciate it. So you just know that we see you and we appreciate that you're following the rules." And so, yeah, they were very, very willing to work with us.
Okay. Great. That's great news.
They were secret shopping your event?
They
I'm
must have been, yeah.
sure they were.
Yeah.
Sure they were.
And we're glad they are, because that means, they're making sure other people are following the regulations as well. So.
So the increase in the ask is based off of,
So it's based off, let me pull it at the back here.
assume a logo design for the
Logo,
poster?
yes, logo and poster design, because we don't want to assume that Donnie's gonna be generous again this year, and he deserves to be paid for his. So we're gonna ask him to make just a few changes to that design, and just the work that he'll be putting into making it a little more transferable to t-shirts, posters.
Gotcha.
what have
And
you.
knowing Donnie, we're gonna have 15 or 17 different options. to
Yes,
choose
yeah,
from.
he just has
Um,
these ideas and he just busts them out. So,
I love the retro look of it. It's just very eye-catching.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anything else he produces, he did a very good job. And then we're also we're accounting for replacing some of our materials. Some of the flags for the e-bikes got damaged this year, and stickers that we may need to reprint. So just accounting for anything we need to replace.
So if you said 46 this year, 53 the year before, what's the goal for this next year?
The goal for this next year is going to be what the goal was originally gonna be for this year, which is we were hoping for 75.
Okay.
We're gonna definitely get the push out for attendees, and probably talking over with Sierra Spindler, she's our marketing manager, and just seeing how we can maybe do that maybe a little earlier, or just really getting the word out.
Well, and another bonus to that is Daniela Rides, they're working with Aqua to do Ride the Dirt Wave,
Yes.
which is all the parks up and down the coast of the trails, the mountain bike trails. So they're having a series of events at all those. So that's another opportunity for them to promote our event.
Okay.
They just had it out at Clutchie Creek a few days ago. So
Is it a one-time thing or does it happen like, oh, this week it's here and that week it's there and?
it's all throughout the summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one of the events that
And it's
changed.
specifically at the coast. Does it go all the way down to Brookings?
Yeah, as far as the furthest south that I know for sure that they go is Whiskey Run down near Bandon. So
Okay, interesting.
So your primary marketing is through Oregon Coast Rides?
yes, yeah, Oregon rides. And then
Yeah, so are there any other sources any other way that you're marketing this?
yeah, there's some smaller like regional bike clubs that Daniela and her husband are a part of. They own the bike shop down in Newport, so they've got a lot of connections with the industry. So another way we're gonna try and get the word out as well is sponsorships through the local bike shops in the area. We dropped some poster off at A's Bike Shop in Seaside, the shop up in Astoria as well. And they were like, great, no, we love that. We've never heard of this before, so we appreciate it. So trying to get some
Great.
sponsorships through them
And
as
we
well.
actually got a call from a bike shop in Bend too, that
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
us to send them information
Uh-huh.
because they're
That's the next place I was going
gonna
was.
come out
Yeah.
and do that. So
So that's, I was wondering if there are bike shops like in Portland area or
Sure.
shops like REI that sell bikes,
Yeah.
sort of places, can you get access to them?
I'm-
Put in posters and-
I would imagine so, yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be too difficult to do. We're also gonna try and get into contact with some manufacturers to maybe come out and do some demos.
Yeah.
Or something that we tried to do this year and we just didn't get hear back from anybody really in time. So having a booth set up from like an e-bike company for somebody who is attending, doesn't own one, and it's like, I've always wanted to own one, so maybe I'll give it a try and maybe see if they can do rentals as well. So you know.
That's great.
Great idea.
I can't remember specifically, but I'll go back to the chamber in general and the growth of the Instagram. Well, the Experience Cannon Beach, which is via you guys, right?
Mhm.
A much more noticeable presence, I think, on that. And so I assume that that'll be a vehicle too for
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
all of that.
Sierra is doing an excellent job with our marketing and social media.
Else have any other questions on this? Rhea, I keep calling your name, but I just want you.
I'm here. Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I do think it sounds kind of cool to have e-bike company come and do demos though, because I would go check that out. I don't have an e-bike.
Yeah, it's
I think that would
it's just kind of like a no-brainer for us and kind of the next stage of where we're going, because we are seeing an increase every year of people showing up on their e-bikes. To the point even where at our beach party, they do what's called the Beach Bike Olympics. And there just weren't as many like events, quote unquote, for people on e-bikes. It was a lot of like, we do like a slow race on the acoustic bikes. It's the last person to get across the finish line wins. Did like limbo. And so we're trying to figure out how to get more events for the e-bike riders, just because we are seeing a lot more people showing up.
That.
I would think Daniela would have the in with manufacture. They sell these?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, she already had a couple in mind. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but yeah, she's already, she never turns off. She's always just like so energetic, and I wish I could just have her energy, then I wouldn't need coffee in the morning. She's just peppy and positive, and she's always.
Now would be the time to contact them, so you're in their yearly budget to be able to do that. Because you don't want to ask them 2 weeks before.
Right. Yeah.
So you may want to push her to like, hey, let's do work on that now.
Yeah.
And because what I hear, so of course, my shop is not involved in this at all, and why would it be? I do hear people, it's like, what's going on? I'm seeing all these bikes, and it's like, oh, it's Fat Bike, and here's what the deal is, and it's like, oh, and it's like, those bikes look interesting. And they were, I mean, they saw them all around town, right? People were riding them, they were parked while people were, in a restaurant or whatever, and they were asking me questions about them, and it's like, dude, I don't know. I know about an e-bike or fat bike. I don't know. So, but I was telling them about the event. And so I think that if you had something set up outside the chamber, or I don't know if the Wine Shack participates, I always think of that because it's got that nice sort of patio thing out there that you could set up a booth and have a lot of room for it. Maybe they could do 2 different, I know they can't do it on the beach, but they could do it other places in town. I don't know, something to think about, because that'd be a great promotion for them. I don't know.
In the park or something.
Yeah.
Or yeah, in the park. I mean, I don't know. So anyway.
Absolutely.
Well, and kind of back to the poster, it seemed like, piggybacking on Sandcastle, but people were seeing that poster out and about town, where it seemed to me people that didn't know that the event existed, all of a sudden this year was like, oh, that's a cool poster. Oh, there's that going on.
We had a lot of people come into the information center asking about the poster and go,
Yeah.
all right, please let me know when the event is next year. We hadn't yet decided on the
Yes.
dates, so.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Take down your email address and let you know.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, should we move on to event and tourism video production? So last year you were given 19,900. This year's ask is 19,750.
Yep, that's based on what Seth Morrissey Productions has down here for us as a plan for next year. I'd like to talk about kind of what we're gonna do with that with you guys, because, we also know that there's some changes coming as far as tech concerns, so we just wanted to talk to that, but we definitely wanted to include videos as a part of that project, because regardless of what tech does, I think video content for social media will be important moving forward. If you guys have projects and whatnot, we can certainly get videos of that for the future. But what we included here is the few videos, although Seth did put down Sandcastle again, which doing Sandcastle video, switch that to a different event because
Well, he's doing one this year.
we're doing,
Oh, good.
we're doing the 60th.
Okay, that makes a hell of a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I caught him off guard and just
So there would be
Hitting it.
TBAs and 2 that you have planned, or 3 that you have planned, excuse me.
It's possible we may update the video for the Fat Bike Festival using this because it's been a while since I think we made it the first year of the event and a lot has
Mhm.
changed. There's a lot going on in the Fat Bike video that we don't do anymore. So that's an option for us.
Yep.
Can you remind me what the events were for this last year?
Well, I can tell you, we were more arts focused this year on the videos that we created. So there was an public art tour video, which is posted on the YouTube page. We did a intro video from Jeffrey Hull about the arts in Cannon Beach. And then we also did an interview with Jeffrey Hull about him specifically as an artist in Cannon Beach. And all 3 of those art videos are on the YouTube currently.
Okay,
The other one we did, it was a parks video to kind of show all the different parks that are available in Cannon Beach. For people to visit and spend time in. And, we have a lot of nice little niche parks hidden away that most people don't know about. So we're always asked in the visitor center, where can I go have lunch or where can I hang out? Usually we send them to the city park because it's right behind us and it's convenient. But some people want a little bit quieter place. So that kind of inspired us to do a parks video that kind of showed all that. So those are the 4 videos that are completed at this time. We've also got 2 other videos in the works. The Sandcastle video that we'll be shooting this weekend. And then the other one is an interview with Dreo. I think maybe have already started on that it says in progress. So I got that report from him today. So those are the 2 things that are still hanging out that are not complete yet.
okay.
So that's where we were for this year. We really want to do another hiking trail video. We did one for the Ecola State Park and was real popular. So it's great to have that to show people, like, because we don't often get up there to go hiking. We can tell them about our last experience hiking up there, but it's certainly nice to show them so they can see what the views are and hiking trails and can explore another trail. I think that would be a great addition to our video library. We did a Haystack Rock Awareness Program video, I forget when the last one was, but it's probably time to update that a little bit. So those are some of the ideas we had for this year. Of course, we wanted to help support TAC events as much as possible, but we don't know what all of those are. So I was very encouraged to hear you ask if they're interested in having a video, because if you guys know who is interested in having a video, we would love to connect with that. And certainly we have 3 different spots in our ask for those videos. More or less, we can certainly adjust according to what the need is. So I'm kind of hoping you guys can give us a little insight to that.
Okay. Who's doing your snippets for Instagram? Is that just in-house, you guys doing?
Sierra has the ability to do that
Okay,
her own, so it's great to have someone in-house that has the ability to do that. She also does need assistance in doing those videos, and that's why we were asking. Our goal is to probably bring this in-house as part of the DMO work that we do, but we didn't have the funding in this year's budget to do that, so that we decided to ask again for this year. But I can see as we move forward in the future, I have some different ideas on how best we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I've listened in on council meetings about you guys wanting to do destination development projects or stewardship projects. Certainly, I think the chamber and the DMO specifically can help with those asks or requests, because we have lots of ideas. And be happy to bring those forward. And if other people have ideas, we can help them bring those to you as well. So I could see us working very well in that aspect for the future of destination and improving Cannon Beach and the stewardship efforts as well.
Okay.
One of the requests we were considering was accessibility, but we just didn't have time to pull all that info together for this year's request.
We need to have some accessibility first that we can talk about.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, we actually put in a request to Travel Oregon for Moby mats and wheelchairs and facilities to house all that. We didn't get that grant. So I felt like that was a pretty good step in the right direction for Cannon Beach, but we still need to organize how we're gonna do that and who's gonna do that.
Where we're gonna store it.
Having the bandwidth to do that is another big ask. So I'm very interested to see how TAC and the DMO can work together in the future to make those improvements for our community, because I think we all want the same thing, and better community for locals and visitors as well.
I have a question about the early and native history. Who's gonna do that and how? I think that would be a real sensitive video, and you better have somebody who's knowledgeable.
This has been on this list for a couple of years now. We're trying to coordinate with Dick Bash and the local tribe to do that in an appropriate fashion. We're certainly not going to drive the knowledge of that. We want to do a local historical indigenous video, but we're trying to coordinate how to do that.
I would suggest wait till the school opens, because that seems like that'd be the perfect time to do it.
And yeah, we want to make that part of that.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but we really want to get that ball rolling. And so that's why it's on the list.
Okay,
I think it'd be nice to see that video playing in the school.
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, but it would be, you know, when there would be an eventual ribbon cutting and a bunch of brouhaha when that happens. And
Oh, yeah.
having that done ahead of time, it's not gonna be this year probably, but that would be a very sensitive thing to have, and I would definitely make sure the tribes are involved. So.
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing it without them. So is there any other questions about the video?
I have a couple.
Oh, go ahead.
Ballpark, how many videos over all the years in the ask, how many videos are in the catalog, do you think?
Oh, gosh, I haven't counted. I would have to look to know for sure.
But I mean,
Are they all on YouTube?
Yeah, yep, they're all on YouTube.
and then, so let's say there's 30 or 35 over the years or something like that. Do you have a gauge on how often they're actually used and
Yeah, we do have the stats and numbers.
like where I'm going with this is it seems like, let's say you did, and I'm just making it up, but did one for the cottage tours in 2018. It really doesn't get dated for the most part. You kind of maybe re-edit it and use it year after year when the cottage tour happens. And you know, some do get dated and have to be refreshed, but you know, do you have a ability to see, like, we use that one from 2008 27 times. And then the cottage tour used it 15 times. And then, you know, how's it getting utilized? How many, that same video is it getting out to the way that, because they're gonna come ask for money too.
Mhm.
And part of my big thing is like, well, are you using the video that the chamber created? And if they're like, no, and just this morning with the gallery group, you know, they did I don't know if it was a spring unveiling or the Stormy weather, which obviously the chamber is in that too. So let's say spring unveiling, if there was a video for that from 6 years ago, are they still using it? Do they have the ability to use that outside of the chamber doing chamber marketing? And if not, you know, why not? Because that is something that they could continue to use year after year.
So I just counted 45 videos on our YouTube channel. Yes.
So to that question is kind of leads into my thoughts for the future too of this program. We of course want to share those videos with every event. So certainly if Gallery Group wants to take that video and use it, we highly encourage that. Because we want to help promote all of our events for this community to get more and more people to come to those events. That's really the purpose of having the video content. And so we can draw that attention to those. As I look forward to this, it really feels backwards to me that we come and ask that we're gonna do 7 videos this year. And then we try to figure out which events want to do those. You guys as part of your request and part of the packet is, are you working with the chamber on that? And I'm sure everyone says yes or no, or however they answer that question. We still need to coordinate with them, and there's not a real direct coordination to that. And so I'm envisioning in the future that this is where perhaps we create a list of things of how you can coordinate and work with the chamber and what those are, so that if they want a video, it's going to be $3,000. You can put that into your budget, and then we know because it's in their budget that we can coordinate with them on that video, rather than us getting the money, trying to coordinate with whomever. That way, each event is actually asking to be a part of that, rather than us trying to ask them to be a part of it. So it's that way we're addressing a need rather than trying to find a need. And that will hopefully help with the accounting process too, because if we don't find that, then we're taking the money and then refunding the money, and it's just a different process. So as I look to the future, I think I'd like to maybe address how we can better partner, how the chamber can help each TAC event, just more straightforward. And we're giving people what their needs are rather than us asking for it beforehand. But kind of back to your question, the whole purpose of this from the get-go was to create these videos so that every event or every TAC request would have that video option and component to promote themselves. I don't think we've done the best job in the past of sharing that and getting that to them and getting it out. Last year, part of the request, or actually the year before, was to take a lot of those videos and make 10-second or 30-second snippets for people to use. And the History Center was the first one to really jump on the fact that this is awesome. We can use this for our promotion. So we really want to get that out to everybody so that they can supporting it.
Said it sounded like he didn't know if anything existed, and it's like, well, it's already out there on YouTube.
Yeah, so,
Go get it, but he also doesn't sound like he's the most digital savvy person in the world.
no, but the person that they're paying to do that with TAC funds
Would be.
should know.
Yes.
And they should know that the chamber is sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of videos that they've acquired over the 45 videos over the years at a couple thousand a pop. You know, obviously some get dated. And I'm in my own business. I've taken like, ooh, the Fat Tire one, and I put it out in an email newsletter of people like, hey, you're gonna be staying in Cannon Beach this week. You already have a reservation. FYI, this is going on. And if you replicate that to Vestas and Barton North and every hotel or property management company, the web gets a lot bigger. And it just seems like better utilization of the assets. So when you come and ask for $19,000 this year, my question is like, do you see how widespread that gets other than on your own channel? And is there a way to do that and to get that out to the other people that would benefit from using that as an advertising tool?
And I think it's more than just putting it in the chamber newsletter. It's almost like reaching out to, well, for the bigger organizations, like contacting the person at Martin North who does marketing.
Yeah.
Not just don't send it to Ryan or don't send it to the receptionist or whatever, but it's like contact the person who does marketing and say, don't forget, we have this resource.
Yeah.
And here's the link to the YouTube channel and that kind of thing. Smaller businesses, that's a tough one, but I mean, Hallmark has a marketing person. Martin North has Escape has a marketing person. That's I mean, that's a tough one, though. I don't know how
Yeah.
to get it out to more businesses. You know, do people read the newsletter and understand that, or how far do they have to go down to get to that information? I don't know how you
Well, like
do that.
one that I always see, and it depends on if you're a Facebooker or not, but
Yeah,
that Cannon Beach Facebook page
Yes,
has 60,000
from all over the
from
world.
all over the world.
Yeah.
To say they like Cannon Beach. There's
Yeah.
60 some odd thousand people on that group. And if someone asks who has the best clam chowder, you get 400 people.
Oh, right.
That's why I never answer those.
Exactly.
He's already given them my answer.
Exactly. And so, but if, and I know they have rules about promotion and marketing and stuff, but if that's a very powerful tool. And if you're like, hey, admin, which happens to be Kyle on that page.
that I love Cannon Beach.
No, it's a
My
different
heart.
one. It's a
Which one are
different-
you talking about?
The one, just the Cannon Beach.
Cannon Beach.
This is Cannon Beach. Oh,
And, but it, and I love Cannon Beach one has like almost
yeah, yeah,
2,000 or something like that.
yeah.
I actually spoke to her last night at our Sandcastle volunteer orientation. And so we'll be working a little bit closer with her going forward, because I didn't, it's Kyle and
Debbie Workman.
Yeah.
And Debbie, and there's a couple other people too
Right.
that, but if they knew, and I know those aren't necessarily engines for marketing, so, but that's where the people are. And that's where the people are asking about the clam chowder and the festivals.
Well, and I am part of that group too, and I always like see things pop up that I'm like, oh, I forgot that was this weekend, you know? So it is a good way to market that kind of, you know,
And they're not necessarily
Events and-
chamber members or how that works, but if they were to say, oh, we can certainly put that
video up.
video out there, let's talk about that, it's coming up
Right.
next month. And I just wonder.
I will say this is one of the great things about having new staff with a fresh perspective. Sierra and Alan and Lynn just bring a whole different idea than even what I know or what I'm used to doing. And they're making connections amongst the community and certainly in the social media realm of how to engage with everybody better. And for the marketing committee, I know Sierra is trying to pull in all the marketing people of the different that work for the different businesses in the community to make them part and keep them aware. So we're moving in that direction for sure.
Great.
Right.
I just want to mention. we need to
Yep.
keep an eye on this.
Yeah. Well, I think, yes, kind of back to how we were doing it with the school is, would the school be a benefit of you? Or be of benefit to you? Same thing with the videos, and I agree with making a more structured, almost schedule of, your before, and reverse engineering that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
It just seems to make better sense.
Yeah.
So we know better what we're doing and everybody knows better what's coming.
Great.
Great.
Anyone else have any further questions on video production? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Come visit us on the beach.
Yeah, see you soon.
Oh, I got a whole house full this weekend. Yeah, they're all coming. Now, we are.
Cannon Beach Arts.
Steve Fritz Association.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is what I get for. Hello, hi, how are you? Good, nice to see you again. Got Cannon Beach Arts Association with off shoulder season events. However we.
Quite a lot of them. I'm Lila Wickham. I am the treasurer of the Cannon Beach Arts Association. And Summer is in San Diego with her family.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I'm here all by myself. I think I can handle it.
Yes, thank you for coming.
So I just wanted to give you kind of an overview. Our exhibition program during the shoulder season had 259 artists. And that's one of our highest numbers. We're really excited to be having our business booming and supporting the community artists. I've probably mentioned this before, but I have two children who are artists and can't do anything else. And so the reason I do this is because I'm really impassioned about artists and having them, you know, make a living and being able to have a venue for, you know, where their work. We also have we are doing a work study program. And I mention that because Summer Peterson, who is our gallery director, was our intern 5 years ago. And it grew into a job for her that, you know, a young person can live in Cannon Beach and actually survive and make a living. And anyway, so we're implementing a work study program. We're going to work with the Clatsop Community College to get an intern so that Summer in particular can begin to teach them how to run a gallery, what the business model looks like, how to support artists, how to achieve a good marketing plan. And so anyway, we'll be doing that. And right now we have an intern, Lucy Gloria, and she is here from college. She's home from college, and she's been working with us 2 days a week. And the whole concept is the same, to give young people a chance to learn the ropes and be able to be successful in the field that they're interested in. So we're excited about our work study program. And then we've started doing demonstrations, which have been really popular. Like people will come in and work in the space and making their art. And not only is it popular, but it helps sell the art because they actually saw what happened and the techniques that were used. So anyway, we started the demonstrations. We did have an artist grant recipient again this year. And we also did 2 scholarships, but it's not in this grant application. That's in our community grant. Workshops. The workshops all went away during COVID, but we're doing workshops again, and we partner with the History Center to use their space because our space has a lot of art in it. And then we're excited that I just heard from John Broderick, and they're going to do a second Fisher Poets event this fall. John's in Alaska fishing at the moment, so we'll plan that when he gets back. And then that's kind of the overview. And I would say that this month, May, which isn't in the shoulder season, but we actually sold $16,000 worth of art. And the reason that's important is most of it goes to the artists. So, do you have questions?
I know last year you talked about that you were expanding the hours of the gallery to see if that was going to increase sales or not.
And it did.
It did. Okay.
And so we didn't do that in the winter
Okay.
But we did it over the summer and then right now it's great because Lucy will work on Sunday and Monday and Summer will work on Tuesday through Saturday so that we have all those days covered and it seems to make a difference if you open your doors and stay open.
Easy.
Okay, that was one of my,
So 259 artists, are they all relatively local?
We have some from like Abandoned by the Sea. But mostly, yeah, the majority of them are local. And then we have a few from around the state. Because people always ask that. You know, are your artists local and what do they do and what's their technique and how do they make a living and
you had the interactive art, the sticky note
uh-huh.
thing. Are there plans to continue with some type of interactive pop-up or kind of a one-time shot on that or?
That was fun.
Yeah.
And Summer has some ideas for additional pop-ups and demonstrations and so it's really helpful to insert those into the activities of daily living.
Yeah, yeah. I would see where the demonstrations, that are applicable would.
We had
definitely-
one artist doing a demonstration this month and his piece sold and so he wants to come back and do another demonstration.
Yeah. That's great.
I've got a question about the room nights. 1,000 room nights seems very aggressive. You know where she got that number?
I think it's aggressive also.
Because I know, well, when you did the quilted one, a lot of the artists I know, of course, and they mostly live here. So yeah, they stayed overnight in their own home. So I don't know where she's getting that number, but I mean, she needs to back it up, I would say.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have asked that before she left.
It's okay.
So you're asking for 32% of the shoulder season of the exhibition program. Like I said, I guess I'm 100% clear. How's the 27,260 going to be used?
So there's a short budget. That's the line item budget. Let me see.
I didn't see a short. Like a complete budget.
Summer made me my copy. You got a PDF of it, right? So,
It's,
There-
I'm sorry, but it's page 12, 13, 14. And it's the 1, 2, 3. Second column over.
Go tap
It's
expenses.
like on page 14 and then
Yes.
back up, but page 14 is got 27,260.
so the way that I calculate that is, like, for example, the business registration, licensing and reporting is part of our overall budget, but it's also a component that we consider part of our shoulder season budget. So the one column tells you what the total is, and the next column tells you which of those line items we're actually incorporating into the budget. And I don't know why there's so many columns, because that's not the way I gave it to her.
Oh,
Correct.
so we're looking at,
Like the third column Down the bottom, totals are in the second column.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting confused. Okay.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
See?
No, okay. Well, if we just move those totals over to the third column, then it makes sense.
And then for the analysis, what I then do is figure out the actual TAF expenses for that same period. So you get that in your,
In the final, okay.
and they pretty much balance every year.
Right.
And then those little numbers that are floating out there on the side are just me calculating the total.
Okay. Makes sense.
Does the Arts Association, it's kind of a history question, going back to 86, have any other relationship with the city? Like, is the building owned by the city at all or anything like that? No?
Our landlord is Jimmy Ostad. And he owns our building. There's renters upstairs, there's the coffee shop, and there's us.
Okay.
But his rent is only $880, and that's really good for Cannon Beach. So we put up with leaky windows.
We both put up with a lot.
No, but, and the reason I ask that is like, a lot of people don't know this, but the land that the chamber building on and the city, donated that years and years and years ago. And I'm just curious if there's any other resources that the Arts Association is getting outside of TAC from the city.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole
Get
thing.
a community grant?
Like grants.
Yeah, the community grant. Yeah, we get the community grant. We got a CLATSUP grant. We do quite a bit of grant writing. I'm trying to train Summer in grant writing and get rid of it because it's very time consuming.
And how do you market as far as these different, the workshops and the demonstrations and all that? How do you usually?
Part of it is social marketing,
Okay.
Facebook, all kinds of social marketing. We still send out postcards for each of our exhibitions because people like that tactile thing that they can actually see and stick up on their wall. And collaborating with other people to support the marketing. And a lot of it is word of mouth. But the exciting thing is that Summer actually has her degrees in marketing, and Lucy, who is spending the summer with us, is getting her marketing and one of the East Coast schools. So I'm really happy about that because marketing is not my strong suit.
That's great. Any more questions on this one?
I feel like we've made great progress this year. I'm really pleased with how well our sales are going and how many artists we're serving and just how things have kind of shaped up.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad that the trial of extra staff and staff hours has paid off, for sure.
Yeah, like I said, you don't sell things when your doors are shut.
No. Really hard. If you can figure that one out, let me know.
Well, and the coffee shop people have been closed more this year.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit challenging because they bring in, visitors. But they're getting tired.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. For sure.
But their coffee is so good.
And their soups.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'll go find out where she got those 1,000.
Yes, that would be
Overnights.
great
Yeah.
to know. That would be perfect.
Just trying to be optimistic, I guess.
Okay, we have 5 minutes. Do you guys mind if I run and use the facilities?
Take a break.
Okay. Are we ready to reconvene?
Oh.
Great. I assume you're Mark Ward.
Yes,
Yes. See, forever.
and I haven't met everybody here. Who are you?
I'm Libby Gast.
We gassed.
Yes.
And I'm Sharon Amber.
Sharon Amber, great. Nice to meet you both. Welcome to the Tourism and Arts Commission grant funding meeting. We received your packet and leave it open to you and then we'll come in with some questions.
Well, after reviewing the Arts Commission grant requirements and potential funding, I realized that we were actually a really good fit for this grant. 13 years. I never actually put the component of how many people we bring to Cannon Beach as into part of our work as a dynamic, but we bring many groups to the beach here. And some do stay. You know, we've worked with, right now we have four groups scheduled to come. Everybody that volunteers with us in these groups are from out of town, you know, probably the majority, I would say Portland area. But we have a group coming in July from Seattle area, from ERM. They're one of the largest environmental organizations. They're for-profit organization, but they're probably the largest environmental organization in America, environmental resource management. And they have funded the turtle aspect of our work because we also run marine turtle research. And they funded that for 3 years. And then when they really started taking a look at us, they were very interested in the microplastics. Because microplastics are a big problem now. And we started working on it before anybody, I mean, people didn't even understand what's microplastic. We've been working on this about 15 years. And so they saw that and they wanted to get involved. So now they're getting involved. They're going to bring a group down from their Seattle office, and they have offices in about, I think, 18 different countries, 20 different countries. They're big. So I'm hoping that maybe that could work towards future funding. They haven't offered. I actually went to Seattle last year and set them up to do their own microplastic work because we're really globally known. The work that we do is really widely known globally. That's one group. Then another group that we're partnering with this year, USI Insurance, they're bringing 2 groups on separate days. They have 200 offices in America. They have about 120 employees in Portland, and I think 50 in Eugene. Those are the 2 closest offices. And they're going to bring 2 groups of 50 to 100. One thing I have noticed, all the groups that come over the years, we've had many groups. They always at least eat here. I mean, they're coming from miles away, always from the valley. But we have groups, we have another group from Banks too, the varsity boys and girls soccer team, which they're incredible. They came and they brought 70 last year and they're like they're on the soccer field. I've never seen such a hardworking group, happy, but energy. I mean, wow, the teenage energy, these, 16, 17, 18 year olds. Anyway, they're bringing a group of about 72 this year. Those are the 4 that we have scheduled so far. I'm not sure how many are staying because we haven't been tracking that metric, although I do know that we've had quite a few, like Dancing Dragons have come 3 or 4 years in a row. They brought 25 to 40 to our project. And they stay down here, they do a dancing thing on the beach at Haystack Rock, and they stay here. We worked with Rosendyne Electric last year. They brought 70 people for a team building. They're one of the largest electrical companies in America, Rosendyne. They build large projects like the San Francisco Airport. Land Foundation has brought 25 to 30. Lamb Foundation, the founder, Mr. Lamb himself came, and they stay at Hallmark. And we worked right in front of Haystack Rock because that's one of our important target areas. It gets pretty bad on the north side. South side, not as much. Intel's come, they brought about 40, Resilient Infrastructure Group. They work on, public works operations and things like that. They came last year, and First Interstate Bank came for a team building, and we did the same thing at Haystack Rock, and they stayed at Hallmark. And there were at least 40 of them. Managers from all over all up and down the West Coast came here. They were staying at Hallmark, and the mayor came down, and Councilor Risley was there, and Mayor Stidel was there. And for that was kind of a big event, and they were all staying at Hallmark. So there's this connection of where we are bringing people in, and I know the priority is for winter, which, I can understand that, but so that's one place where we're more June to September. So we're moving out there. We've shut down as late as October. And we usually start in June. Like, we're getting ready to start now. We're struggling with trying to raise enough funds.
So the summer months more just because of volunteers and weather capability? Okay,
Weather.
that was one of my, I am not that familiar with, your process of filtration. I know it's been going on, but I've never visually seen it happen. So I guess part of my questions goes back to, if you have a group, say of 40 people, how much of a beach area are you getting? Can I take it back to basics just a little bit?
Oh, yeah. You can go on the website,
Yeah.
and there's a film of us working at Crescent Beach.
Okay,
That's really good. Really
Okay.
shows what we do. As far as area, it depends on where we're working, how much area we can cover. Like,
okay,
say, at Whale Park, we've been spending at least 6 weeks a year just in Whale Park,
wow,
focusing, because it's devastated. It's one of the highest landfall zones in all of Oregon. It's just the dynamics of that beach. The way the ocean on those big king tides and stuff pushes up into that area, it just dumps massive amounts. And that is also an iconic spot. When we're down there, we've spent many years down there trying to maintain that beach. It's a maintenance schedule. Hundreds of kids down there almost every day. Beach is just packed with people down there. They like the river. It's safer for the kids than the open oceans. So they love that river, but you're still at the beach. The ocean's still there, but it draws a lot of people. And so we focus on maintaining that in a pristine state. And then the other side of the river, Lake Shirley, which is part of that same area, but it's a really high density landfall on some years. So time, if 40 people come down, it depends. If it's those Banks kids, we'll probably do 100 meters, maybe 70 meters, maybe, depending on how dense it is.
Okay.
If it's the Lamb Foundation, older crew, we might only do 30 meters.
okay,
It is kind of variable. Also, which area, because we'll also do Chapman Point area. In
the cove, yeah,
It packs some in more or less depending on the year. And north side of Haystack Rock is another high density site we've seen year to year. And we also work in Crescent Beach, the city limits goes into the south end of Crescent Beach to the creek. And we've done that beach every year it needs it. We had last year and the year before, it wasn't that bad there. But in past years, it was extremely bad. This year, it's bad.
okay.
I went down there to do an assessment, and it was the length of the beach, we had microplastic landfall. So it varies year to year, but the one thing that never seems to vary is Whale Park.
Okay,
So the process is you just bring these groups in and they're just out scouring the beach and picking up little pieces of plastic.
Oh, no,
That, or,
no, yeah.
so I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just ignorant of your whole process.
No, you guys haven't seen my process so it's totally understandable. I've been working on this for, like I said, at least 15 years and more like 20 years in marine plastic work. And we were researching marine plastics and then I was asked to take part in a pellet study. But what I was finding, and I was doing through turtle necropsies, we found that microplastic is the most prevalent food source for our marine food web that, you know, they're eating, sure, the big turtles will eat a plastic bag. That's not as common as microplastics. All sea turtles, all marine life are ingesting those microplastics. So I found that out with my research. This is what we're worried about. And we went into a study. I was working with Tokyo University, and when we found out just how toxic these plastics are to marine life and humans if they're ingested. So then we started getting these massive landfalls. And what I did is I was determined, because I grew up on these beaches. I mean, I love the beach. I'm a beach guy, not so much anymore, you know, except for this project. I don't get to go surfing or anything. I don't have time for that. But as far as this goes, it's partially because I love the beach and spent so much time on it growing up. It's kind of a way for me to give back. Is one way I like to look at it. But so this landfall is on the beach and there is no way to take it out of the beach. So I developed a system. And the system, it's a filtration system. It's a screen. It's like a stretcher screen is what it is. But it's a fine mesh filter screen set up like a stretcher. You set it down on the beach, and the microplastics will be in a band, and there might be 4 bands, like at Well Park, there might be a number of bands, but it fairly concentrates. And at some spots it spreads around more than others, but a lot of time concentrates. So we set our screen on the beach and you use these thin aluminum shovels, because all the microplastics will be normally, if we keep at it, it stays towards the surface. One year when we skipped it, it actually, we had to layer about 6 inches below the surface. That makes it really hard. We stopped because of COVID when it was shut down. The next year was a nightmare. It was about this deep. And then you have to move a lot more sand. So then you skim the surface with the plastics and you load the filter screen. It's manual. And then 2 filter operators, one on each end of the screen, run the plastics and other debris up and down on the screen. It filters out all the sand. Actually seeds come out too, but the plastics are captured. And down to what we found, which was really an amazing bonus when we started this filter process, and it developed over a couple of years. And I ended up patenting it because there was nothing else out there and like it, or anything even not like it for filtering microplastics. There was nothing. So what we found, I wanted to see how small the particles were that we were actually filtering. That was the next step. And we found we were collecting what's called nanoparticles down to 50 and 100 microns. Because the screen has it's got a polymer coating. So that creates a static charge from friction. It's a passive static charge. So the materials rubbing on the screen charge it. And those dust-sized particles, you can't see them in the sand even. They're the size of sand. They actually bond to the screen and we collect those too. It's just nanoparticles, which was a big bonus.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting to collect that dust, but I was real interested in finding out how small particles we could collect.
Even plankton eat those and then they are eaten by the fish and then we eat the fish. And so that's, that's a big part of what's going into our own bodies.
It's a little bit concerning, that dust, and we do remove some of that, but most, our main target is you just see massive amount of plastic on the beach. So as far as the tourism benefit, hundreds of people come up to us on the beach every time we are down there. Oh my gosh, thank you. Because we're keeping it, maintaining it. we're keeping the beaches here pristine. I get called from people all over the world about their beaches. Last year it was Newport. And I've been called by them for about 3 years. They had never had a program like this. So I went down to assess their problem. Volunteered, went down. And they had 8 miles of beach that was covered with microplastics, the whole beach from, what is it, Otter Rock, all the way to down to the jetty. They had microplastics from years of no filtration. And I helped them get set up. And now they've got a really big program set up now for Newport. And it will bring it back, but it was a perfect example of what happens when you don't maintain the beach with these filters, just covered with microplastics. All the aesthetic beauty is just really devastated. And they've gotten going now, though. I think they have 16 filter screens now. And the city gave them a $10,000 budget line before they even got a screen on the beach. And but they have quite a thriving economy there, and they have Hatfield Marine Science. They've got the Oregon Aquarium, and they're all involved. And they've just kind of pulled it all together, and they're going to run a project. But if you don't maintain the beach, it really is sad that people down there appreciate what we're doing so much.
Can I ask, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Just one more quick question. You came up with a fairly precise number, $38,168. How did you arrive at?
Well, when I do those budgets, I'm a contractor actually, and I go, like, if we need gloves, I go right off the price of the gloves. Might be $15.79 off. And that's how I always do everything. I don't go $50, round up to an even number.
Yeah, my question was, what is the possibility, since we're specifically targeting off-season, what is the possibility of taking this and moving it? Maybe not moving it, doing it in summer. Is there any way you can do it in the winter?
There's things that we can do in the winter. And what I would really like to, every year we've operated, we have really struggled for funding. And it's been kind of almost crap. Are we gonna have the funds to run this year? Are we gonna be able to do this? So we can't do any of the peripheral, like marketing, outreach, and preparation that we could do if we had some funds to work with. Where we would organize more groups and we would work in the winter, but bringing groups here in the winter is very difficult because scheduling with the weather, because we're out on the open beach. And we've done that before. We've ran in April and, you were out there in April once. Remember how miserable that was?
Oh, yeah.
We were gonna run the filters.
Sand has to be dry.
Greg brought his whole family and we were on our hands and knees like
The
this
sand has to be dry?
for the filters.
For
to
the
work.
filters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's,
You know, the people that come, they come back and a lot of these people, it's their first time here. And the other thing about the people who come, they're invested in keeping this a beautiful place. And
I get that, but we don't need to bring one more person here in July. That's where I come from is specifically July and August, and frankly, September. Greg would speak better to that than I am. It's like, frankly, I don't need one more person in town in July and August. That's the thing I struggle with. It's like, if I gave you $38,000 and said, you can do this in October through April, that's what I would ask for. The summer is really hard. That's really hard.
do some in October anyway.
Well, we usually
After Labor Day.
shut down right about October 1st.
Yeah, that's-
Starts raining, but you know, I do understand that is a priority is winter. I do see that. But
I didn't know it had to be dry
Yeah.
for it to work. Man, that's really hard.
the benefit of the project is the volunteer hours. People are not only coming here and eating and oftentimes staying, but they're also working.
and coming back.
to actually improve the tourist industry.
Yep, no, I get that.
So it is, you know, it would be great if we could do this in December.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. But you ain't gonna find dry sand in December.
And you know, and I do have some, and I've actually been thinking about this since this, is how could I modify strategy? So we could do this in any weather. And usually the other reason about the maintenance schedule being what it is, we get landfalls as late as March. So
What do you mean when you say landfalls? What does that mean? Just the plastic coming in?
yeah, it doesn't trickle in. We don't get little trickles, you know, it doesn't even come in the summer. It all comes in big dumps. Boom.
It's all those burps that the ocean does that, yeah, I mean, I see it outside my house.
So
You wake up one day and it's like, what the hell? Jeez.
one I've ever seen was in May. That was one year and it was a big one, but it was in May on some, you know, when the ocean conditions are just right.
Yep.
Swell's just right. And there's a mass of that material because it circulates in the current. Then I've seen it in May, but most of the time it's January, February, March, when we get the big dump from the king tides or whenever. So it usually is definitely going to stop by April, May for sure. June, we see no more. So that's when we want to get out there. Clean it, it's gone. And then the next dump's coming in maybe December.
Right.
So if,
The technology that you have won't even work with wet sand, which makes it hard.
right, well, that's one thing, but also if we went out there in December and we cleaned up what was there, 2 weeks later, it might all be back, we might be
Sure.
dealing with it again. So if, like waiting till June is on, as the maintenance schedule, you know, what's gonna be there. I have been thinking about, is there some way we could do every other way possible, and it's so tedious. There's a way you can do it with water.
So Mark, on your budget, you have the 50 days times 6 hours per person. That's a majority of your labor. Is that like people that work with you and will do it? And so if UCI and ERM or any other company sends people down to do volunteer stuff, are those that's not paying those people, is it?
No, it's USI.
Or USI, yeah.
No, we don't,
They're volunteers, but this pays for the people to kind of coordinate the volunteers and do the stuff and teach them how to use the screens and that stuff, right?
yeah, because we can't just, volunteers don't have even an idea. So keeping a team on each 5 days a week, not only do we get the job done for sure, even if no one shows up, we're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
It's been taking about 62 days. But we've been working.
Yeah.
But I think we can do it faster because we've been working with less people. If we have 4, a beach director who also runs filters and 3 filter operators, we've got 4 people every day for sure. We're gonna be faster. Then we've been ending up with 2 or 3 people, or last year we didn't have much money to work with.
Yeah.
And so 4 people.
Those people help support, say, 50 volunteers coming.
Yeah, you can't do it without those
Yeah.
people.
I've always kind of thought that, the summertime, I get it, and if there was a way to be pretty nimble with the weather and say, hey, we're gonna have a cleanup on March 15th because the forecast is really good, come on down. And I don't know if you're set up for that.
There's potential for that.
And then I envision things like, we got 25 people from Nike and 25 people from Columbia Sportswear, who can get the most out in terms of collection. And then the news gets a hold of that and they're marketing at the canopy.
What you're thinking, make it a contest.
Or, when I used to work in the corporate world, we'd be told, you're gonna have so many hours of volunteering that you have to kind of be involved with, and people wanted to do it. But if you were nimble enough to be like, hey, we're gonna do it in March when we get a forecast that works for us, or in whatever month. And I think that a lot of businesses in town would, in the off season, say, hey, we can put your people up or discount or some kind of thing in terms of that. But the amount of marketing that you could generate from look what Cannon Beach is doing and all that is powerful.
That's where we want to get to. that's what, we haven't quite been there, but like that kind of strategy planning and that kind of coordination and marketing. We're working off such a small budget that, I do a lot of volunteer hours. All winter long, I work on this, volunteer. But I can't do the things, the ideas that come into my head, I can't even accomplish. I just don't have that time to do that. But if we have a good budget, then we can do stuff like that and market like that.
A lot of nimbleness. How long does it take for the sand to dry? 2 inches down or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, you see that coming,
Yeah.
that, on a day that in January where it's 62 degrees and sunny,
Which
the
happens.
state shows up.
There's a way.
If it's a Wednesday or a Saturday.
It's a way to do it. I think there's a way to do it though. Because I've been trying to figure new strategies. My new strategy is we take the filter material and we stretch a 20 or 30-foot fence with that filter material planted at the surface. When it rains, the plastics come back to the surface always. They don't sink in, they rise when it's wet. So when it's wet season like that, it's all right at the surface. You can walk down and see it. It's not. So I set up the screen in a 20, 30-foot or yard area, and we take leaf blowers. Because I've done this. I've tried this. You weren't, didn't we do that the day you were down there?
I remember
So I take a high-powered leaf blower, and then the surface is all wet. It's like almost like concrete, but the plastics is all sitting at the surface. And we blow it into that screen, blow it into the filter screen, towards the filter screen. So it collects at the base of the filter screen, and we might be able to do it in wet weather. It wouldn't be as efficient with the nanoplastic part of the project, but I think we could do that. I think that we haven't tried that strategy full on yet, but I've been thinking about it. And what we need to do is purchase a couple of high-powered leaf blowers. I mean, I tried the leaf blower when it was all washed up in the dune grass at Whale Park. I called one of these landscapers, this guy from here, and he brought me his leaf blower, big heavy duty one, and I was blowing it out of the beach grass because you can't get at it there.
Yeah.
Well, and I was able to blow it, and it blows really well. But that's another thing. The USI people are actually paid by USI. When they come, it's called USI Gives Back. And they're actually paid for that day.
Yeah, so a lot of corporations have those kind of give back programs and things, and I personally think that's a huge marketing thing when you say XYZ companies down here investing X amount of man hours and, this is the good that they're doing. This is the organization making it happen. Cannon Beach invests in it, yada, yada, yada. So
Intel paid their people too when they came. And actually Banks is kind of incredible because when they came last year, they brought Fox News. Fox News cameraman and camera crew came, and they're planning on them coming this year too. And that's kind of great promotion. Hey, look what they're maintaining their beach in a pristine state, and it's kind of a good advertising in that respect. But I think we're gonna try that this year. The leaf blower is about, I don't know, they're about $400. So I kind of balked at it before, but I think we might be able to operate something in them. I think we could do that strategy.
I mean, like our charter or our rules are basically nothing in. Was it?
June through,
September?
it's not technically September, right? Because of the cottage store, but it's
No.
June through August for sure.
Yeah, and in reality, I think, it's June through October 15th in my head. But that's what it is, or those dates. So, anything on outside of that, so the closest to June, late May, that kind of stuff makes it a little more palatable.
Yeah.
The rules that we work by.
I saw in the grant information that it was a priority for those months, but it didn't say it was an absolute.
I think the wording is, it says giving preference to the ones that are off-season for visitors.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because if you can say, hey, we did all this work in the summer, but people are talking about it year round and what Cannon Beach does, because I'm gonna go to Cannon Beach because it's the cleanest darn beach on the Oregon coast, then you're not necessarily drawing people in the summertime. You're getting word of mouth out, and that's very valuable.
I think we can do it. I think we could do one other thing. You know, I brought, we work with Portland Eco School. We brought up to 120 in a group before in February, not here. But we work up at Fort Stevens State Park every year. Last year was our 11th year in a row.
120 people in February sounds delicious. February, you say?
Can do it with that new strategy. I think the new strategy will really work. The one thing that you're gonna have is you're going to have to remove beach grass too, because it's wet. When it's dry, we shake a lot of it off, throw it away. We collect some too, because we can only spend so much time separating. But in the winter, when it's all wet, the plastics are just mixed in, and we would literally probably take some of that too. So, and everything's wet, so there would be more weight. I really believe that we could do that though. And then get that groups like that Eco School, get them to come here instead of Fort Stevens. It was brutal. We were there this year. It was about 45, 50 degrees with a wind chill. And you were there. It was rain, and we were all out there just soaking wet, and it's pretty brutal, but they love it. And they're like, Mark, okay, we're gonna do this again this year. I'm like, oh, no, really? Kidding me? Okay.
I might add that he brings are only for one day, so that there'll be 4 days in the summer. And the rest of the time, he's out there with his team, and there are people all over stopping, what are you doing? And they get, so everybody's getting educated as well. And ecotourism is a big thing these days. And when they find out that there are people who care here and are trying to preserve things, they're, the people we really want, the people who care are gonna come back. So.
I'm gonna try that new strategy. I'm gonna do it no matter what. The wet surface strategy. So I've been thinking about it actually for a few years. And there are some nice days. You could try and work on, say, hey, we've got a good day. Just like you were mentioning, we could try something like that. Looking at the forecast, hey, next week's supposed to be nice weather, and have people that want to do it, some of these groups, and try and work like that.
Okay.
To maybe move operations partially into wintertime.
I think.
That would be, yeah, we're behind.
There was a plan saying, hey, we have a way to be nimble, we have a way to do this that's not middle of July. That we could along with this group, and some way to do that, and if that's even possible, I think that's very interesting.
Well, great. We are running behind, so we better move along unless we have any other.
Thank you.
Questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Andrew's here.
Anybody need a
And Michelle.
potty break or something like?
And just before that one, so sorry.
All right.
You got stuck behind a new one that came with lots of questions.
You're doing the comedy festival.
Yes.
first, right?
Okay, yeah, Rusty, do you have my video?
A video?
Not comedy.
That's too bad.
Did you print that out?
Can I?
She gave it to me. You want to look at mine?
Mine, sorry. I've been looking at my phone for it the whole time.
Oh,
I hope.
well, this one I emailed.
Oh, yes, don't worry about it. Nope, I got it on my phone.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Sorry, keep trying to silence my.
Okay, there it is. Okay, cool. Okay, I have some marks to start with. Thank you all for being here. It's been a long day, I'm sure. Try to keep it moving. But thank you for your time and consideration. In short, we are thrilled with the success of this year's comedy festival. We had 2 fabulous shows that packed the Coaster Theater. Saturday was sold out and Friday was darn close. We welcomed comedians from across the country, including headliners from Atlanta, Los Angeles, Denver, and New York City. Our comedians offered a range of different viewpoints and styles, each of which connected differently with audience members, as in people had different favorites. We generated over 160 room nights and furthered the arts in Cannon Beach by presenting a popular art form that is otherwise rarely found here or on the coast in general. Which is all to say, I think that the original vision of the comedy festival that I had many years ago is now being realized. We hope to continue going forward. We want to keep learning, growing, and succeeding while making audiences learn, laugh, and feel together. Along with bringing better and bigger performers to Cannon Beach, we hope to bring new generations of fans along with them. As much as any other in the Tourism and Arts Fund portfolio, we're hoping to put new sets of eyes on Cannon Beach. So going forward, we feel like we've finally solidified the timing of the festival in early March. Annually on the Coaster Theater calendar, they have a few-week break in March when they're getting ready for spring break, so it's before spring break. And that gives us the opportunity, we have a few weekends to play with as far as bookings are concerned. And in the future, that could result in, say, 2 concurrent weekends of shows to expand. I do want to point out that as far as I know, the Comedy Festival is the first Tourism and Arts Fund event in the calendar year. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's true. We don't need sunshine to sell tickets. And again, like I said, before spring break, while we don't need sunshine to sell tickets, we do need safe roads. And there has been, thanks to the ever weirding climate, both of the last 2 years, the weekend before the festival had icy Highway 26, always a concern. But, I feel like, we were thinking about January, February, and the risk there is too great. I think March is, and again, it fits with the theater schedule, so it's all well in that regard. Let's see here. We're happy that we've been able to generate the kind of interest we have without spending too much on marketing. While most of our sales come from social media, our growing email list, and from the comedians themselves pushing tickets to the event. And we do shoot for traditional media coverage as well, and that would be the cue for our video. This was, we got picked up and did a little spot in Portland on the CBS affiliate Coin TV. And I guess we're gonna have to watch an ad.
I guess it's just music looks like.
There will be sound.
Anytime soon. If you're looking for an excuse to visit Oregon's ocean towns, the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival is coming up next month. And joining us to chat about the event is Andy Connery and Arlo Weyerhaeuser. Welcome on, guys. So tell me about the Comedy Festival. It sounds like a laugh.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So our nonprofit, the Toll Run Arts Colony, is putting on the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival on March 8th and 9th in Cannon Beach. It's made possible by a grant from the city's Tourism and Arts Commission, and that's why we're able to get so many. That's what I wanted to show you is. We know who butters our bread. That'll do it on the video. Thank you, Rusty. That was a fun and strange.
And your pre-show, you always say that at the beginning.
Yes.
So going into 2025, I want to maintain the momentum and consistency that we've built these last couple of years of the festival. I want to continue and produce an event that people are excited to travel for. To that end, early this year, when I sent out a save the date announcement to people who had previously bought tickets. People were buying tickets immediately before the performers had even been announced. And that's the goal, to build a brand and trust with our audience, making them confident that we're going to book good talent and they should book their hotel rooms. We want to grow. We're hoping to grow our reputation in performer circles as well. I spoke to one of our headliners this year, and he kind of gave me the story about how it came to be. You know, we put out a ask if they're interested, and what this performer did was check from a performer who was the year prior and got the like, yes, this is a cool event. It's a cool theater, great town, beach town to be in. So that's big. And going forward, you know, we want to continue that. I also asked the performers how we could improve and, you know, if there was things we needed to change or do. And the best suggestion came from one of our headliners who runs a comedy festival called the High Plains Festival in Denver, Colorado. And he suggested that we don't want to just be one time a year. He's like, what we do with the High Plains Festival, he says, we do a High Plains Presents. It's not a, you know, like, so what his suggestion was, we do a Cannon Beach Comedy Festival Presents event, not of the same scale, but, you know, just to keep it in people's heads and, you know, get it out there, continue to, you know, grow your social media, grow your ticket base, and do that in something like September or October. And since we were successful this year in selling tickets, I want to put some of that, and that benefits the arts colony. I want to take some of that money, put it into doing a, you know, a Cannon Beach Comedy Festival Presents to keep the momentum going, to keep growing. And
What would that be? That be like another comedy night or what do you?
yeah, some, you know, another night in September, October.
Okay.
Again, not part of this ask, but
I get it.
the way that, yeah. So that's a cool thing. And then there's also, so we talked about it with the last committee, and there are some new faces about how, and other ways to grow, and it's also in the event proposal, is to establish some satellite events. You know, maybe it's an open mic night, maybe it's some kind of a smaller thing. And we actually we were on track to do that. This year, there's some folks who are business owners who own a bar here who are big comedy fans and even like did it in their past. And I talked to them, I was like, hey, comedy festival's coming up. Would you be up for hosting something like this? And they're like, yes, that would be great. And then the dates came together like, oh, that's our family vacation. We're going to be gone. And which is all to say that there is interest in something like that. And, you know, it's something we hope to add going forward. So that is the focus of our 2025 proposal, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
The increase request, or I have what we granted last year and not what was asked, but versus the funding. Is that just costs going up or I was trying to?
It's accounting a little bit for adding that satellite event. Okay. And you know, travel was more expensive than I anticipated from the comedians.
It was really fun.
Thank you.
It was really, really fun.
I have so much fun doing it, and then I get sad after it's over.
Yeah.
Let down.
It's a really fun event.
I mean, to me, it seems like.
Did you go?
I went Friday, my husband got very sick.
I went both.
And so Mike Morgan took my tickets for Saturday night, so I was home with a sick husband. But no, it was great. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I see down under funding provided, the volunteer hours, so that's based off of our funding to you for volunteer hours, not the director program, but.
But that is the volunteer time spent by our board and the planning, as well as people showing up and running the event, you know, running concessions, running the ticketing, running the, yeah, so that's all volunteer provided.
Okay, perfect. And you're getting your good data from the credit cards. I see that as always.
I was gonna ask you about that actually, on your data. I know you have, the zip codes. Do you know how many of those people actually have houses, like, or are, you know, like I'm a resident here, but I'm also a resident in Portland, so I go back and forth, so my zip code.
Sure.
Because I don't, you know, I've got a bigger mailbox in Portland, so, you know, my zip code might be that, but.
I understand that, and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, right.
And, you know,
There.
I bought our tickets and bought two friends from Portland, so.
hey,
Yeah, me-
I didn't even count those. I didn't get.
So I balance you out.
You balanced it out for sure.
There you go.
Have
any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the questions
They're
kind of
good.
are working their way through over the years.
Yeah, thank you.
And appreciate
Do you try
a shout out.
you try to do new comedians every year? Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, you know, on the headliner side, it has to be, yeah.
When you get this ticket sales data, do you have like, you know, I'm sure you do, but when they were purchased, like ahead of time versus day?
Yeah.
You're the one that started. Are you the one that did the late fee or the buying later on was a higher price? I'm trying to figure out.
No.
Someone did
Somebody
that.
did that.
Someone did that and I couldn't.
Oh, it was WOW weekend.
Oh,
It was WOW
it
weekend.
was WOW weekend.
Yeah.
I would,
Ballpark, do you think most are bought ahead of time?
I mean, there, you know, there's a surge, but you know, like, I mean, like the week before, I'm probably at 75%.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a lot of, 75% of people are planning to come.
Yeah, and I think more and more, you know, I mean, like, especially Saturday, there were people showing up at the box office and we're like, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that will get around, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that satellite, you know, if you can get it to work, I think that's great.
Yeah, I really like, you know, I brought up the people who wanted to host, and I want to find a way where we can support them, but not have to do like a complete restaurant or bar buyout, because
Yeah.
that just doesn't make financial sense, you know, for them to toss an entire night, and it is intrusive. You know, it's not like you can kind of have it and still have your customers, you know, that don't want to be part of it. So yeah, finding the right partner for that is big. And I think we've got.
Good.
They just can't go to Cabo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Andrea, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just hear nothing but great things about this event though, so. I feel like it's a great thing you're doing.
I will comment on that too. There was a lot of buzz about it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, you know, people just talking about it, saying they enjoyed it. So of course, that's good.
It is one of the, just Arts Colony writ large, one of the questions I get the most is when is the next comedy show?
Yeah, again, a different art form that is not present here throughout the rest of the year. For sure.
Yeah, right.
For sure. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? I think we're good. Okay, thanks, Andrea.
Well,
Well, and you're coming back up with Michelle.
You wanna- I'm here for.
Sure.
So you want to distribute? So we have.
Oh, yeah.
Some important visual guides to help here.
Should I give him that one?
Yeah, that's just. Yeah. Okay, so, we're working kind of, I'm helping with this project, but it is also kind of in the former model where, you know, a nonprofit is needed to act as a pass-through. This came together Michelle had, just start talking because she gets nervous. Michelle had an art show last spring in Joshua Tree. And she came back with the, well, we'll explain that, the red part in a second, but she came back with those little makers maps. And said she wanted to do something like this, Grand Canyon Beach. A maker's map is, but it sounds like it's a map of all the places in town where things are actually being made. That could be anything from, you know, saltwater taffy at Bruce's to the glass at Ice Fire to the Passaw pottery. And while we do have a lot of, you know, there is the gallery group maps, this is a kind of a different deal. You know, there are folks, I don't know if she sent along letters of support from some of the other, you know, use Bruce's as an example, you know, they don't really get a lot of shine from these other things. They kind of, you know, but there is such a great desire these days to just, you know, this is not shopping locally, it's shopping hyper local. It's not shopping just at a locally owned business who happens to import their goods. This is, you know, things that are actually being made in Cannon Beach. And when we start thinking about it, there's, you know, we got pretty incredible things like Sleepy Monk coffee is the best coffee I think I've ever had. You know, so the proposal is to make a maker's map like that. Now you saw there's also, you see that placemat is that from Wayfarer?
Yeah, I went and grabbed it.
That is designed by the artist that we're proposing. We do, and we've talked a little bit about it with him. You know, it's a whimsical, light look, and the inspiration is going to be based on
Like tiny maps, like travel maps, and just kind of eye-catching. Yeah.
So Michelle, do you want to take it away?
I'm not really good on the fly. So, okay, so you already said it. The Maker's Guide is intended to highlight products that are made in Cannon Beach, including art, breweries, bakeries, craft, food, etc. By doing this, we bring awareness and appreciation to local makers, which in turn elevates the visitor's experience. Supporting the local Maker's Guide encourages visitors to shop locally, highlights goods made in Cannon Beach, highlights handmade goods, reinforces that Cannon Beach is a community rich with craftspeople, makers, and artists. Motivate visitors to revisit places that locally made goods due to the connection of understanding where and how something was made. That's it.
And something we discussed, because we talked with potential folks who could be shown in something like this. And we reached an impasse, well, for a partial impasse with certain places that, let's say a gallery that doesn't, let's say the Cannon Beach Arts Association, a gallery that doesn't make anything, but really has a lot of locally made artists. And we thought the way to solve this conundrum is to also list a bunch of independent makers in there. Just because you don't have a storefront doesn't mean you're not making things in Cannon Beach. And then putting on the map those places that are, that those artists or makers, or perhaps people are showing at. Yeah.
So like Sarah McAllister's jewelry is at blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And then putting them on the map.
Put Sarah McAllister on here with her email.
No, we put the artists, and then you can find Sarah at Cannon Beach Arts Association. You can find Sam Block's woodwork at, go look at the courtyard at the
bistro, yeah.
And so on.
So this is like an idea, but we're not doing it like food and beverage. So Sleepy Monk would be on there, but
brewery
Driftwood doesn't make anything. So the Driftwood wouldn't be on.
No, yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to
But like the bakery wood and sea level wood,
Right, and I'm.
And the breweries.
Pelican, Bill's, they make beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the idea is like you actually see things visually made and it's not being.
Well, and I think being able to take it away with you.
Yeah.
Is also another
Yeah.
criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at this visually, there's a lot more on the list than there is over here. Are these like featured businesses?
Oh, that's
Because
an example to give you. I don't love that. And also, I forgot to bring, it'll be more of like rat card size,
Oh,
but like a pamphlet. I
okay.
bring that, but, and I don't like
So you're-
that either.
And it's more like the,
Yeah, I think that one was a little bit more ad.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Even though I was like, but it's just, eye catching and, I mean, they were everywhere when I was down there, so.
and do the businesses put anything towards this?
Not the first year. We're trying to just figure out how to do it. Basically elevate.
And it is an interesting balance when you're talking about, you know, Libby Patterson jewelry maker, Pelican Brewery, you know,
Mhm.
try to level that playing field. you know,
Yeah.
like so.
Yeah, that was kind of a little bit why we were like, we'll have a few, like, people weren't understanding that it wasn't an arts map, it's a maker's map, so
Right.
make things. So, but we'll have a few like local artists and makers and trying to make it just feel a little less corporate, because when we were going through it, it's like, no shade to like, to Public Coast and, the brewery here, whatever it's called, a Pelican. But it just start feeling a little corporate, so we wanted to kind of like shine a light on like just independent local makers too, so.
So when I read this application, my first reaction was, this is a great idea. And my second reaction is, shouldn't this be a chamber project?
I felt like I don't know, personally, I felt like I'd have a little bit more freedom going through Toledo Arts Colony. And, I don't know, it just felt like.
Michelle is a member of the chamber board. It should be
Yeah, and it
mentioned in
just, I don't know, I just felt like it would be a little easier and not be, I guess, just picked to death, I
Well,
guess.
no, I think, let me put it out a different way.
Okay.
I think there's an aesthetic that we're shooting for that Michelle is an expert in and able to guide this.
Yeah, I was just worried that there were gonna be tons of hands in it and.
well, do you also get back to the balance between Libby Patterson and like, are they a member of the chamber or not a member?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's a membership issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I kind of felt like I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to like, oh, somebody's gonna get upset because, but so-and-so is here 3 months of the year and they make earrings. I don't know, I'm making
Yeah.
it up. So
kind of back to your point of this one looks a little more like ad based, like did the big guy
Well, you know,
buy the ad there?
Yeah.
Whereas
and to the question about the chamber too, as the arts colony role in this, it is part of our mission to support local artists, help them earn an income and support the arts. So I feel like it's very much in our mission and wheelhouse as well.
yeah.
And I think that in the past, way back, then the chamber used to do things like, not like this, makers, but before there was a gallery group, they'd have a gallery walk thing or a city art walk thing or a food, a farm to table kind of thing. And they come and they go, but I've never seen one specifically to makers. And I think that's pretty interesting.
That makes sense. I think it's sort of a hot word right now. I mean, sort of in the zeitgeist, whole maker
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, I'm putting on a convention in Seaside, and it's a makers convention in August, so not here.
You're doing that?
Oh, yeah, it's that coastal craft uprising.
No, I've seen it.
Yeah.
My girls aren't doing it because it's too expensive.
Oh, yeah, well, they do like the group does like 20 conventions a year. I approached them about it, so.
Kind of my point on that comment was, you know, chamber gets a lot of their funding, obviously, I mean, a lot of us have been involved with the chamber at some point in time from the city to do the marketing stuff. And if they were to say, let's do this, they'd just be asking for the same funds to get it done.
Yeah.
But we're doing it cheaper.
Sorry. Yeah, but the question then, I would imagine the question is yes, or the answer is yes, but the question is, you know, if you created this and had 1,000 copies, you hand it to the visitor center and say, stock your shelves with this.
Yeah.
Oh,
hand it out to people.
working, like leveraging Michelle's position on the board to help distribute it is certainly within the plan.
Nobody even have to leverage it. You can just go and ask them. I don't have this.
Yeah.
You don't even have to leverage it.
Spending $5,000 to create it, it would go somewhere either way.
Yeah.
It would have to come.
Well, I think it certainly fills a void that is, you know, apparent.
I mean, it really did, I mean, like, who was it? Like Brian at Bruce's, but, and who, some other folks were just like, oh my, we would love to finally like.
He told me to text him so he could come and I was like, I don't think it's that kind of thing.
Just to get that, the galleries take up so much space in our marketing minds that some of the other businesses get.
I mean, it's just awesome. You look at the window and watch it being made and
The only
generations.
thing is what we already talked about is like, you don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah,
Right.
it's probably gonna happen. I'm
No,
gonna try,
don't
I'm
say
gonna
that.
try
We're gonna
not.
do our
I'm
best.
gonna try not.
Nope, I know what you mean. We had that conversation at the ball.
I mean, if you start doing a list of artists.
Very big bet. About just like trying to like put down to like, okay,
Yeah.
these are 10 artists and then maybe next year it'll be 10 different artists.
Yeah.
Sorry, makers.
But do you have a ballpark of how many people in the general area? If you counted them all, would be 75, 100?
No, we did a kind of just a list off the top of our
Yeah.
heads.
Oh, I have it. Oh, gosh.
I think it's more like 20.
I think it was like 22. Yeah.
And then add 10 artists.
Yeah, I have like Ice Fire, Jeffrey Hall, Shearwater, Bill's, Cannon Beach Bakery, Nicola Seafood. I'm not sure.
And this is not the vetted list. This is just.
Yeah, I just was like Sea Level, Stidell's, the Chocolate Cafe, Pelican, Public Coast, Bruce's, Puffin Wines. I'm not sure. The Framer. I feel like the Framer, Cornerstone Framing.
Yeah.
Like me, the Leather Shop and Sleepy Monk so far. So.
Open Candle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we need to just basically,
Yeah.
if this is approved. it's just
Storm,
like-
yeah.
We had to go through, yeah.
Hearing this reminds me, I used to love going into that maker's store behind the bakery.
Mhm, yeah.
And I was always surprised about how many people create cool things and live
Yeah.
around here that I don't even know who, and now I'm buying like some rolling pin from some guy that was a fan of that. And this is, this is a way to
Yeah.
do that. I think that's really cool.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
X-ray guy not show up? Oh, he's on Zoom. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And his name is Chase Frost.
Yep.
Coming on right now.
Okay, let me find that ask.
I'm not
Hello
allowed to
there.
video because the host is disabled. it.
The X-ray, CV history.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'd love to be on video, but it says I'm not allowed to start it because the host disabled video.
Be able to now.
Hold on.
Is it still giving you an error?
Yes.
Hey, Libby, real quick.
Yes.
I have to leave at 5 to pick
Okay.
my kids, so if it's still going, I'll just listen to the audio.
Okay.
So so when I get them and leave, you're not like.
Not seeing an option to.
Do we even know if this is possible?
No, I sent it to Ashley and she hasn't waited yet, so we can hear it.
It's the criteria. I'm not sure this fits the criteria at all. I know. That's what
I
I'm
know.
concerned about.
I know.
And we have people waiting.
Yeah.
It's an option to enable it, so I'm not sure what's going on, but.
We're happy to start.
Go
any
ahead, let's start.
Yeah.
videos.
Thank you for joining us. we received your grant application and, would just kind of like to turn it over to you guys to kind of fill us in on your proposal here.
Yeah, well, I can go ahead and get started. My name's Chase. I'm the station director of X-Ray. I'm joined here by Nina Dabbit, who's our development director, who does fundraising in these grant applications. And I can give you a brief overview of just the history of X-Ray, but we're a relatively new kind of radio station. We started in 2014 in Portland, and looks like maybe I get some
There you go.
There we got you.
video. So hello, thank you. You can see what we look like. And we're, a small non-commercial radio station, really focused on arts and culture and in Portland and beyond. And it's a mix of kind of talk programming that focus on that with some flagship talk programming during the day, morning show kind of drive time thing. And then we've got a mix of music. Almost all of our programming is made by volunteers locally here in the community. And a couple of years ago, just about 2 years ago, is July 23rd of 2022, we signed on the air in Nehalem. So we've got a little signal out there in Nehalem, Wheeler, Manzanita, Rockaway Beach is the area that covers, kind of expanding our broadcast reach, but really also the kind of communities that we serve, the people that we're working with. As I mentioned before, everything's made by members of the community, and that really reflects what's happening in our broadcast areas, and an opportunity to kind of dig deeper into what people feel is really important, or what's going on in our cities. Our mission statement is to put a microphone to the best and most distinctive of Portland, and that's kind of expanded out to the coast as we are doing that as well. So it really is kind of a focus on what is happening, and really relying on folks to kind of dig in and do some really great programming. And it's been really successful and really worked well for us. And the grant proposal that we put forth is just helping us kind of bring that service up to Cannon Beach. We, in 2021, were awarded by the FCC a opportunity to build a full power signal up there. These kind of rare opportunities, they come around about once every decade or so. So we really jumped on that opportunity to fill out the paperwork, and we were the winner. We were awarded it. It's like a competition based platform. You don't really buy it. You kind of have to prove to the FCC that you're a deserving candidate for it. We're really proud to have won that. So this, application is helping us really build the infrastructure for that. We're talking about things like equipment, things to actually establish the broadcast. And once we were able to kind of establish a foothold, that really lets us ingratiate ourselves and integrate ourselves, I guess, with the community is a better word, to kind of start working with people and working with the businesses and artists and other folks out in the city.
Yeah, and I hear folks talking about whether it fits the criteria. I know I spoke with Jennifer Barrett over a month ago talking about this, and she sent me directly an example from the Chamber of Commerce promoting what other folks were doing in town, and it felt frankly very similar to what we do. And I will say that like the project itself is more so in order to initiate something that'll exist in perpetuity, that can be a platform for local voices, that can be a platform for local arts and culture, and also for any kind of tourism businesses, that provides a direct conduit to Portland and a direct line to folks that are already to a primary market.
So the issue is where the money goes, and if it's building infrastructure, I'm not sure that aligns with state law in terms of how this money can be used. I think that's Jennifer's concern. But that's for our attorney to answer, I guess.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well,
Let me give a good example is, there, in the criteria, there is, obviously events and things to bring tourism in, but when you're dealing with infrastructure, like, we could do the restrooms because the restrooms are primarily used by tourism. So we were able to use our funds for that. The lifeguard program, we weren't able to because there's no infrastructure with it. There's no building, there's no thing to it. But it based on how you serve tourists.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I understand. So I don't know. You're right in the promotion sense. Once your tower is built, then I could see coming to ask us for money to help promote what's happening in Cannon Beach or whatever, I think the asking for the money to help build the tower would be the issue. Do I have it right?
Well,
Yeah.
because it is infrastructure then, so
Yeah.
that might work, but you have to prove that it's tourism based.
Right,
Because
okay.
that's what I think, didn't it take a while just to get the restrooms great? To get restrooms to be able to be used by TAC funding? Or not TAC funding, but in the state law? Because didn't at first people say, no, you can't do restrooms, and then eventually they're like, yeah, you can.
No, I mean, the law hasn't changed since enacted. I mean, maybe a little bit, but the criteria of what you have to be, so the, a 10-year lifespan, you have to be able to show that it promotes tourism. And we could do that with the restroom, like
But not the road. It was Lincoln City and the road.
Bend in the roads.
Okay, Bend, okay.
And to Bend, like, we're gonna use the money and pave the roads, we're gonna drive on roads. And
So do people who live here.
sued and they lost because there was no, that was not in use. An example in Tillamook where they built or improved the boat ramps. They could prove that people with fishing licenses from all over the state dropped their boats off there. And so it was, you could justify it. So the rules of the OSR 320 are pretty simple, but you have to really be able to show, or you could get in trouble, litigation, all that from that. And that's where the road example comes from.
Right.
And then for Chase and Nina, just so you guys know, we did send your application to our attorney to review, to give us some guidance to see if it does meet criteria or not. So that is, the committee will discuss it amongst themselves, but we'll take the direction from the attorney on whether or not.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, I guess I would kind of ask the question, like, where do you draw the distinction? Certainly does a restroom could be used by people locally as well. So I kind of have that question, but how it pertains to us. But one thing that we really have looked at, and this is something that maybe this is helpful, maybe this isn't. But over the past couple of years, we've done a lot of work to really kind of study our community and the people that are listening to X-Ray. We've done a really big listener survey, one in 2017, one last year. Really kind of spurred by a big part of that was there aren't a lot of metrics for us to understand as a small radio station who's listening, so we can go out to the community and ask them directly about their behavior. And we had a really, really robust response for a station of our size. And one of the questions we asked in there was like, do you go to the coast? Do you do other activities? And in some ways based off of what do you hear on the radio? We're a lot of a piece of our funding is from local businesses that sponsor the station. And we had a lot of respondents say, respond to that question of, do you go to the coast often? But also how often do they go? Kind of, do you stay? So maybe there is something that we've already baked in there that can kind of help answer those questions about how this, would promote tourism. Because I do feel like there are some real opportunities for it to participate in that way.
I wouldn't be surprised if our attorney has more questions for you guys either.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So my understanding is the 35,000 is for the infrastructure of the tower.
Yeah.
You said that isn't then perpetuity, but you also have to get the FCC license every 8 years. Is that correct? Is that for each location?
I want to clarify something first and foremost, which is the tower already exists. So we would be, installing some equipment at a tower site. We're not building a brand new tower. And there are other radio stations at that tower. So it's a well-established, FCC approved site. So there's that. And then, yes, essentially we were issued what's called a construction permit was what we were awarded. So the license to broadcast will be issued upon us actually building the signal. No one can operate on this signal until we build this. That's kind of the FCC rules for it. And then that initial piece of paper will be valid for 8 years, and the FCC will have us go through a renewal process every 8 years. We just went through that with our main signal and the one in Nehalem. We were awarded them without any issue. They usually do that unless you've been a bad member of the community in some way, you violated some FCC rules or something like that. X-Ray has been on the air for 10 years, so we've kind of passed our first initial 8 years on both of our main signals. So yeah, I would imagine that you know, and as long as we are following the guidelines and being good stewards of the license, we would have no issue getting it renewed.
So then you're broadcasting from Portland the same as the feed that's in Nehalem, is that, so you don't have a central person in each area, is that correct? But maybe your programming, is it unilateral programming with mentions of events going on in Nehalem, or I guess I'm
Yeah.
trying to quantify that?
Yeah, there's some more really technical answers to that, I guess. The signal that is in Nehalem it's what's called a translator. So that signal must rebroadcast another originating signal. Our originating signal is 91.1 FM in Portland.
Okay.
We have another translator in Portland, 107.1. Those can only do what another main signal does. This would be a main signal. So the signal in Nehalem could rebroadcast what we do in Seaside Cannon Beach. Could rebroadcast X-ray in Portland. That is really up to us. I think, you know, as we get this off the ground, it probably will be very, very similar programming. And I think that's worked really well because it's given us an opportunity to share what is happening on the coast to people in Portland. Like we've had, you know, people from the Lower Nehalem Community Trust on talking about conservation and the events that they're doing and kind of pre-selling them so people understand that they're happening in advance. So I think that really is kind of the opportunity to kind of grow this. But really, like, our business model is having programming made by people in the community. So my feeling is that as we expand into Cannon Beach and the North Coast, that really gives an opportunity for people that are doing good work, kind of like the other folks I've seen here promoting their projects, an opportunity to kind of come on in the air and talk about what's happening. And that certainly has an opportunity to end up in Portland. My guess is it would end up on all of our flagship programming, would probably be largely shared for a long time.
So right now, if someone's in Nehalem with an event or a project and you're saying, come on.
Yeah.
Does that mean they're coming to a studio in Portland, or does it mean they're remotely? I'm just trying to picture what that entails, like if I'm a local and I'm chairing an event and I want to discuss it. What are the steps involved in promoting that with you guys at this point?
So we can do everything remotely and have kind of developed a lot of systems for that since COVID, frankly. It's not necessary to come into a studio. I think eventually we'd like to have a studio on the coast, but we're gonna like be realistic about, yeah, because like if we need to build the signal first, like, okay, a studio is a secondary piece. But nobody needs to come into a studio. It's going to be largely the same. I actually don't think most people promoting events in Portland that live in Portland are coming into a studio at this point.
Okay.
Similar to most radio interviews or call-ins.
Okay.
Are you asking Seaside for money as well?
Not at this exact moment, but that is, we're open to that in the future.
Gotcha.
Okay. But the tower itself is in Cannon Beach.
Tillamooked.
What?
Tillamooked, they said.
Tillamooked, sorry.
Yeah, that's an interesting factor because it's technically a state park.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I've asked. Anyone else have questions? I'm kind of.
Can I ask, how do you guys tie it to the tourism aspects?
Yeah, them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I always.
It's okay.
It's over here, I always look at that camera. How do you, Nina and Chase, how do you tie it to the tourism aspect?
Yeah, so a lot of how we see this is that we're already well known for how we promote events and things happening within our coverage areas. And we frankly plan to do that anyways, just in perpetuity with anywhere that we are having a signal. But also we have, you know, been the upstarts launching a station before and also helped others do it, and know that a lot of those things require doing some deep capacity building, doing a heavy amount of promotion in order to bring folks around. In the application, we talk about doing launch events, doing various partnerships. The reason I don't focus the application so much on that is because that would inherently be after this granting period. Because of when the FCC's requirement of when the signal can go on air is November 2025. So that's an interesting thing of like, where does that fall? But I foresee us, one, doing a lot of promotion directly to our audience in Portland, bringing them into Cannon Beach for events, for others' events. And like Chase noted, we've done a pretty broad listener survey. I included it in the question about how many room nights this would generate, because I didn't quite know exactly how to answer that, but instead offered the baseline data of how many of our folks are coming to the North Coast, how many of them are staying, how many nights they're staying. And the answer is the majority of our listeners do come to the North Coast and are interested in the North Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, I would kind of just add on that too, like, because we're non-commercial station, the funding for the station really is built up of kind of three main pillars. It's people that are members of the station. They give a small amount a month individually to make the station go. It's grants like what we're talking about, and business sponsorships of the station. The more members and grants we can get, the more that allows us to really work outside of typical profit margins and be able to do things that are more that commercial stations can't do, that is focused on smaller events and smaller businesses, and it is less about the money for us. But a big portion of that is the event sponsorships we do, and we really offer affordable sponsorships for people with businesses, and events have been a really big part of that. Like venues are sponsors of the station very often, local music festivals, things of that nature. And we very often are able to offer things on a trade basis also. So our business model offers a really affordable and or in some ways, trade mechanism for people to get their events and businesses promoted throughout the station.
Yeah. For nonprofits, we're also often doing several things for free, purposely, because of the community benefit.
Yeah. And I think another thing to really kind of think about, just as we're talking about the way the station works, is with non-commercial radio, there's a really, really high level of trust that people put in the programming that they hear. They hear something on the radio here, it's because they know somebody picked it because they care about it, or it's because it's probably good for the community in some way, and it gives you an insight into something you're not going to hear on commercial radio. And people put a high level of trust in that. It's why there are actually more advertising rules around us than there are commercial radio stations. But that has been kind of proven by the FCC that generally people put a high level of trust in what they hear on stations like X-Ray, and it makes them more likely to probably participate in those activities than if they were to hear it kind of in a normal, maybe saturation-based ad campaign of what you would hear on a commercial radio station or something like that.
You know, where did the money come to do the Nehalem one? Do you know?
So that one is unique in a lot of ways. We purchased that translator, which I should note, a translator is different than a originating signal. The one in Cannon Beach would be an originating signal. It is building entirely new infrastructure. Or infrastructure, whatever you define infrastructure as in this context. Obviously, we're debating that. A translator, they're often referred to as repeaters or boosters. So they have to rebroadcast something. So we bought that translator for cheap off of a partner in 2017, and basically just needed to spend, I think it was under $5,000 to literally place an antenna. Chase can say more about that as the person who actually did it, but
yeah, it was a much different situation because that license is about 120 watts out forward power, essentially like power coming out of the antenna, and we're talking about 1,000-watt signal here in Cannon Beach. So the equipment factor is just much different. Where the FCC will allow you to place it is much different. Frankly, I was given kind of a pretty quick timeline with the FCC to do that in Seaside Cannon Beach. So or not, excuse me, that's where we're talking about, in Nehalem. Really, we kind of did a lot of that with existing equipment because it was a much smaller install and kind of like some things that we had on hand, because really we're we're looking at a much, lower power broadcast to the south of you. Up here, we're, is it's a different investment in equipment to make it happen.
We had about, I think, like 90 days to put it on air, so there was not it was a short time period. So it had to be done quickly.
Yeah, and I should note we've done that in partnership with a local business down there as well. That's like housing that, but that type of install just won't fly. But the short answer is that was done with cash on hand and equipment on hand, but at a much lower factor than this.
Great. Any other questions? No, we thank you both for your time, and my guess is we'll be back with a few more questions before we convene. But thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Talking about radio is my favorite thing to do. So I, feel free to get in touch with any questions you have. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, and it's Liz.
Yes. Liz and Zoe. Oh, thank you. Sorry, we're running a little behind.
We don't mind listening. The Makers Map, they asked if I can collect their stuff and.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because you guys are still.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Oh, thank
Good to see you again.
you.
Great. Well, we'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Great. We are planning for the Cannon Beach History Center Museum's annual fundraiser, the Cannon Beach Cottage Tour. Next year, we'll be planning for our 22nd year, which is amazing. We're very excited. For those of you that don't know, it's a tour of historic homes throughout town. We feature a lot of older cottages. For instance, this year we're featuring homes that were built 80 years and older. Really fun. And they're all cottages. And so people get to not just look at the outside, but they get to go at the inside of the houses and experience what it was like to live, kind of like get a sense of the history from back then, what it was like to live 100 years, be here 100 years ago. Actually imagine that, yes, people were here 100 years ago, if not longer than that. And so it's really cool to see how a lot of these houses are still standing, some built with no foundation, believe it or not. But yes, I know. Next to me. Right. So it gives visitors a peek inside of that, giving them a taste of what it was like to live in Cannon Beach back then, but also just gives them that history of the rich history that we have here, while also enhancing the community, the people coming to the community. And over the years, we've featured a lot of different aspects for the tour, including adding nonprofit booths along the tour. So like Cannon Beach Arts Association does participate by offering our art. We actually have historic prints in the museum or in the Arts Association for sale. So they're helping promote us as well. But we also have like the Wildlife Center of the North Coast has a booth. Friends of Haystack Rock Awareness Program will be out at one of the oceanfront houses with a telescope, educating visitors about Haystack Rock and the puffins. So we've included that as well as an out on the town element, which when visitors get their map, they get to have discounts to local businesses. So for instance, they could get like 10% off to Public Coast or Pelican. They could get free truffle at Cannon Beach Chocolate Cafe if they present their map. And we've had, since the very beginning, we've had, I think 21 years ago, there was like 30 something people that came and visited for the tour. And now we have over 500 people. And due to tax funds, that has greatly increased the number of people that we've had come by helping us advertise our event in various publications. So for this particular application, though, we're actually asking for less than we have before because we found that some of the advertisers, we're just not getting the results that we've seen. And so we decided to, because we've added them on, getting the results, we decided to go ahead and drop that because we are starting to get more sustaining with the visitors that we get. We actually have a very good amount of people that come back every year. And so we send them a wrap card in the mail. They get our email. We have I think we have over 1,000 people on our email list. for the cottage tour and about the same for the mailer. And then we also send to our members as well. So we get a pretty good amount of people that come and visit us year after year that are, we don't even have to put anything out there at the beginning of the year. And they're like, when's cottage tour this year? When's cottage tour this year? We're ready. We're waiting. So it's proved to be very successful for us as well, not just for us, but for the town. We do hear from various business owners that they see a lot of people visiting their business that weekend. We do see about, we get to see a good percentage of people staying overnight in Cannon Beach for several nights. Because the event itself used to be a 1-day event, and we've increased it to 3 days, having different events over the course of the weekend. And on the Sunday event that we do, it's kind of like a little pants event. We've extended it well into the afternoon. So like the time would end at about, I think, like 3 o'clock. So I think 3 or 4 o'clock. I have to remember the time. We're still planning this year, thinking about next year. I'm still in this year. Oh. So we've kind of like increased the time for people, so that way it encourages them to stay even through Sunday night. So not just 2 nights, but 3, maybe even more. Some people stay the whole week. They want to experience the town because they really enjoy just the town itself, but also just walking through the neighborhoods and seeing these the little neighborhoods that we have, like the Presidential Streets, which we're touring this year. They love seeing just the small little houses. That's my favorite thing, is the houses that are on the tour. So
There's a new owner of the house with the big rock in front of it. On Hemlock, oh shoot, what's the cross street there? Jackson? They left and there's new owners, and they just they would like be interested in a cottage tour.
Oh, okay.
Now, it was built in the 80s, so.
Okay.
It's really old. It's not really old.
Maybe a future year. I know next.
Yes.
Yes, next year we're thinking at, I feel like it's almost solidified that we want to tour Tullivana Park next year, because we haven't done that in quite a few years. And there's a lot of amazing history down there. And then there's a lot of older cottages. And I think there's been sometimes throughout the years where we've kind of done some newer homes and, but I think that's where our bread and butter is focusing on these historic homes, whether they're cottages or they're, a little bit larger dream homes. Like we've had the Oswald West home on the tour many times. And that's not, I wouldn't call that a cottage necessarily, because that's pretty large, but that has a lot of really rich history that pertains to this area. And so we kind of sprinkle that throughout, but I think that really fits our mission of preserving the history of Cannon Beach. And it's very true to our mission statement. But I think one of the most important things for us is that there is tourism is brought here, and it not just impacts us, but also helps the businesses out as well. It's kind of a collective effort of everybody helping out that weekend. And also it helps foot traffic as well. So not like all the houses are being impacted all at once. People can go and, get a burger at the Driftwood, or, get a milkshake at the Chocolate Cafe or wherever. So we found that that's been really successful.
Great. Application was.
I had a question on the 2025 budget. I'm looking at the staff funds column.
Sure.
And it's 22,000, but you're asking 31,500. Is that like adding the 9,000 to it, or is there something?
Probably, I did so many things, I probably missed that.
It's the only way I can get close to that.
Yeah, let's see. I know last year we get for this year's tour, we asked for 35. And our budget, did I include the budget from last year? I don't think so. Let's see.
I'm looking at 2024 budget.
Oh, that's 24
And
budget.
then about 25 budget, the under tap funds,
Oh, yes.
it comes down to 22,000. And then the in-kind, I'm assuming that's donated stuff.
Yes, that's in kind is all donated stuff that we receive that's just kind of like I guesstimating on the budget of what we've had in the past, of what we've been donated in kind. We usually get the same similar stuff donated, like the Wine Shack will do wine for like our events, and then they also do wine as staging for the houses. So all the homeowners get like wine and stuff, which is really nice. So we do get quite a bit of in-kind donations.
That mean you're really asking for 22.9?
No, did I mess that up? I probably messed it up.
Yeah, it's that 9,000 or whatever, 20,
93 for in-kind.
no, well, that conveniently adds up to
Oh,
about.
I might have messed up by accident. Oops.
Big budget items, advertising and all that stuff totaling 22,917. So whatever the difference, 7, 8, like 8,500.
2,917 plus 9,300 is 32,217. I think that's what you did, Liz.
Oops, that was my mistake.
Well, no, it's actually, it's not, well, it's 31.5 is what you're asking for, and that added up to 32,217. So where's the difference between the? Come on, Julie, 31.5. $85.83 is what the difference is.
But that's what I was asking, is like.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have I was doing so many things to get this done. I was like, oh my, I kept calling Jennifer. I'm like, that's right. It might have been, I'm really bad at math too, so.
And I'm looking at amount of TAC funds you were given last year. It says 35,000, but your
our
TAC funds on the 2024 budget are 28,000.
Yeah, that's why I think I was going off of last year. I was talking to my former colleague who did the grant, and she was like, I think I was going off of that, but that totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a little confusing.
It is.
I think you're gonna want to look at it and decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna, if we were making decisions today, all we see is $22,000.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Is Sunset Magazine all digital now? Sunset Magazine all digital now?
No, so we do a print. It's
Do a print magazine?
print, yes, and it is proved, I know. I knew you.
Seriously? I had a subscription.
Well, we get in their magazine. So they still send us, like, we go in there every year because when we ask people how we track our people, we ask everybody, like, how did you hear about us? We get a good amount of people that say Sunset Magazine is how they heard about us. And so it has proven to work for us. We did drop Oregon.
I ask every year, every time I've been on the damn thing. Magazine is expensive.
Ask. Well, Oregon Home Magazine, we dropped because we did a full page ad with them, and we didn't see any increase in, we didn't see a huge increase at all in the number of people that bought tickets. So we felt confident to say that we could drop that from the budget and not ask for that amount, because that's a pretty good amount. It's like 1,000 that they charge us. So we decided not to go with them this year.
Let us know what your real ask is.
Yeah, I know. Do you want me to reset that? Oh, geez.
How long are you gone for, Jennifer?
Well, I'm gone all of next week.
Oh, you
So
are?
If you can just send it, just email.
Email a new budget?
Forward the email.
Okay, perfect. I'll just get that to you by tomorrow.
Okay.
Are you here tomorrow?
No, but I hope to get my email.
Oh, okay.
Records requested. I'll peek. As soon as I see it, I'll forward to the.
Okay.
Because they're making decisions the following week, so that way they have the information.
Okay.
Ahead of time.
Perfect.
Be great.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. I was kind of going off of last year's budget too, and I was like, I don't know, is this right?
Well, I'd also like to compliment you again for the social media presence, I think is.
Thank you.
Balancing act of maybe being able to reduce the costs.
It is.
At in-house.
I will say we've been able to, increase the number of followers that we have on social media, and it's very active. And so we do get, even just like paying for social media advertising is not expensive. And that does help us get we've seen that impact our ticket sales in a good way. So having over 10,000 followers on Facebook is, I mean, for a tiny, small museum, that's pretty cool. So, and people love it, and we love sharing the history. So
I read it every week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Enjoy it.
That's awesome. We're happy to hear that. We love sharing. That's the most important part of our, our job is to share the history, because most people don't know that Cannon Beach was even named after a cannon.
I had one more question on the page that has tickets and auctions by month.
Yes.
And that was for 2022. Is that like how much revenue was made by selling tickets in July and August and September?
Yes.
And 900 in October which is after the event.
Oh, yeah. So we had, so last year we had, we did a silent auction. This is our third year doing a silent auction. So that was people that had paid for their silent auction winnings. And they didn't get back to us until October. So I know. So we're not doing that this year. I'm like, nope, we're calling them right after it ends. We got tired and we closed and we're like taking a week off. They didn't get back to us. So that's where that money comes from for October.
So it looks like a little less than 25% of your tickets are sold in July, then about 25% in August, then 50% in September when the event is.
Yes, definitely.
You have, that kind of tells me the story. My question would be, you see how many tickets you sell ahead of time versus like the weekend before?
Yes, absolutely. We track all of that. We have it by date. So we have an order form that we fill out. And then we have all of our online sales have a date that track how, like when they're coming in. So yes, that's, we definitely, August is like our biggest, craziest month, because that's when most of the advertising goes out. And so that's when everybody's buying tickets. And we don't really see, because last year was the first year we raised ticket prices on the day of. Most people got their tickets in advance. And so we didn't see as many, we just raised them by $5. But we didn't see as many on the day of as we normally do, because we raised them by $5. I know, do it.
I was like, I know there's a few that have been doing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was definitely us. So, but it's proven to work for us. And we decided to sell tickets July 1st because that's our fiscal year begins. It's easy for us to track it that way. So, and by selling tickets only directly through us, we're able to like really hone in tracking. We track everything. Oh yeah. And we ask them all the questions. They love it.
Perfect. Well, any other questions? Drea, you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys. Perfect. So much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Almost there, you guys.
Oh,
Theater's not here?
theater's not here.
Here with Northwest Lancaster.
Okay.
Is there anyone on Zoom?
Yep.
Oh,
Who is on Zoom?
Jenny is.
Okay, because Patrick said he had a meeting and somebody else was gonna be here, but he wasn't sure how, or I wasn't.
She's zooming in.
Okay.
Jenny, are you there?
She's just joining
Oh,
here.
just joining in.
There she is.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Good to be here.
We'll go ahead and turn it over to you if you want to.
All right, well, I'm going to start off with a typo in the budget.
Okay.
Which actually brings our total ask down to 57,000. In our early spring event, I had an extra zero in marketing and promotions. So we were going to really market whatever we were going to do in spring.
Oh, gotcha. 1,000. Okay.
So 1,000 instead of 10,000. Minor difference.
This is 9,000.
Okay.
Okay, 56,000.
Thank you for starting with that.
Other than that, we are asked special events, asking for 4 special events. Right now, we do have 1 special event booked, which is Darcel 15 and Company. They came down last fall and had a near sellout. some decent numbers from out of town. And trying to promote that a little bit better with their kind of Portland audience. Looking at another holiday special event, last year we had Patrick Lamb doing his Charlie Brown Christmas, which was also close to a sellout. We did about 155 tickets sold on that. So holiday special events are really good. And because a lot of people do travel for the holidays, we do get a little bit more people, according to our zip code report, from out of town. Also looking at an early spring and possibly a late spring event as well. This year we did a winter event in January, which, as we all know, weather is a factor in January, and January's weather wasn't fun. So that did kind of affect not only our January special event, but our January, February show as well. We saw big impacts from the weather. And again, Broadway Across America program, advertising, nice targeted audience, theater audience in Portland, and then some other ads as well. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, thank you. So last year you were given 38,650. I can't remember what the ask was last year.
I want to say it was right around 50.
Okay.
But I can find out.
And the increase, it was about 50 to 57. Is that just the costs of?
It's not an increase now, right? It's 56, not 66, remember?
Oh, sorry.
57.
57, but you're saying last year the ask was 50-ish?
I want to say,
Okay.
I'm trying to find last year's.
Okay.
ask.
Don't worry about that too much.
Okay.
I just was wondering if there was any substantial price increase that you're seeing from last year to this year that correlates to the bigger ask from last year.
I believe we have, I think last year we only asked for 3 events.
Okay,
If my memory serves.
okay.
Again, I'm trying to find that information.
And did I noticed September 8th is a Sunday. Did Darcel come on a Sunday last year?
Yes.
Okay. That's great.
All right, yeah, last year I think we requested 40 last year, about 40,500.
Okay.
So one event was not there.
So you're adding an
Correct.
additional event. Okay.
That makes sense.
And also I think there's an additional Broadway Across America ad as
Gotcha.
well.
Okay. I know in last year, Patrick had some discussion about some acts, if they were more local to here, not drawing as many attendees because it was a smaller, more localized name when about 70% of the draw tends to be tourists, at least to the actual shows themselves, whether that be
Correct.
the acting shows or the music venues. And we kind of, Pink Martini, no problem, but and so I guess I go back to these say to be decided basically but you guys kind of have an inkling of where those kind of
That is really Patrick, but I do think he is leaning more towards acts that will draw, either they have a good Portland base, like your Curtis Salgados, Patrick Lambs, even Darcel, you know, very big Portland base, where we have had like Adams and Costello, which is more locally known. Which we don't see as big of an out of town draw for stuff like that. So definitely trying to get people who are more, if not nationally known, more regionally known.
Yeah, okay, okay. Great. Do you guys have any other questions on this one?
I do not.
No? Okay, so we made the modification of the ask being at 57 instead of 66.
Is it after, is it 57 or 56?
57.
It is 57.
Yeah, because she put 10,000 in the marketing instead of one, yeah.
That's not.
Actually, I did have one question that I forgot to ask, is the winter production right around the holidays? Doesn't the chamber throw something historically at a concert? I mean, it's been the trail band a few times and some other things. Are those, if they do that, would that be conflicting, or are they not doing that?
To my knowledge, they're not doing that, unless they've talked to Patrick and he hasn't updated me on that. But as of us putting this together, we are looking for a potential holiday.
Okay.
Don't think it's on the schedule that I can remember.
Haystack Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never.
I don't think so.
Just
Yeah.
for years that they
I
did.
think so, but don't count on me because Haystack Holidays isn't one of the things on my radar, but I will pay attention.
I know in the past, yeah, in the past they have brought something in, but not always.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? Great, thank you so much for your
Jenny.
time, Jenny.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Hey, are you classy?
You know, I was told, way back in my early career, that to be the last interviewee, you get the opportunity to leave an impression. Counter to that, I was told if you're ever in court, don't go when the judge is hungry.
No, you're good, you're good.
Hi.
Coast Walk, Oregon.
Coast Walk, Oregon, yeah.
Back on the schedule, so this is the year where you're the
start off of it all.
We're the center or the beginning?
Both. You're like, so we're meeting every day and ending every day at the Chamber Community Hall.
Okay, so we're in the middle, not Astoria.
Correct.
You're not ending in Cannon Beach, you're starting in Cannon Beach.
Yeah, we're starting in Cannon Beach and going to Nehalem.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, yeah, except not actually in order. Sometimes south to north, north to south.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
So my name's Cassia Nye. I am North Coast Land Conservancy's Development Director. I've been there 2.5 years. So I am still the new girl, not the newest, but I'm pretty new. The organization is almost 40 years old. It has a very rich history on the North Coast. Does everyone have somewhat of a familiarity with the organization? Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
We're an environmental organization. And we work to protect and then care for important coastal habitat. So we work from Astoria to Lincoln City and then from the mountains into the ocean. So it's, I don't know, about 120 miles north to south. And we don't, we would do our work through, number one, buying land, but we also help other organizations, usually state or federal, protect land. We will help them facilitate acquisition, even though we don't end up being the owners. And we do that because it falls into our mission of protecting the land. And then we also hold easements. And we do this only on priority habitat. So we're not buying land just to own it. We want the real special places. So our biggest acquisition is the Rainforest Reserve, the mountains that you see behind Cannon Beach. It's 3,500 acres and we completed that acquisition in 2022. And it is magical up there. There are black bears and cougars, unless they come to Cannon Beach. There's dragonfly that is only found in a handful of spots around the world. Its DNA is older than the dinosaurs. There are rare plants. There is constantly researchers coming from around the world to go look at those mountains because previously they were sort of like the Jennifer's Islands. Have fun.
Sorry.
I'm calling you. For years. I know. Yeah, you too. Yeah. Anyway, so we do have properties also closer in to Cannon Beach. And currently we have upwards of 10,000 acres that we have brought into conservation. So once we protect them, then we also care for them. So our priorities right now are climate resilience, connectivity, and community. And so we think about how do we get the trees to grow bigger faster? How do we protect and enhance the wetlands so they can sequester more carbon? How do we create wildlife corridors so the elk have somewhere else to go besides our gardens? And then water quality, drinking water quality. We're working with a number of municipalities up and down the coast to protect their watersheds. So that's kind of what we do. Coast Walk Oregon is our signature fundraiser. We do it for a couple reasons. It raises a little money, not a ton of money, but it raises a little money. Because what we really want to do is connect people to this magical place. It is incredible. It is beautiful. And we want people to personally understand and know that so they can help also protect and care for it. So we're asking for $10,000, which is really about under a third, but of our budget for this year. I have been sort of mentally noting some of the questions you asked. There aren't any massive changes to our budget from 2022, which is the last time Cannon Beach was part of Coast Walk. I would say there's two changes to the event. Number one, and maybe the largest, we have realized that one of the biggest feedbacks we get from Coast Walkers, the participants, is that they want more ecological information. And so that means we are putting more staff time during the event. We have an incredible stewardship department. Those are the folks who care for the land. So they're the biologists and the ecologists, and they know all the answers to all of the tree and marine questions. And the second one is that we are trying actually to do less staff time and have this be more of a volunteer-driven event. So we have 8 volunteer captains. I don't know if Bob Kroll maybe presented earlier or not for another organization requesting money.
I know who he is.
Yeah. He and his wife are our newest captains, and they have been a fabulous addition to our captains. They're the ones who put in closer to 90 hours of volunteer time.
Okay.
And we did also increase our number of potential participants this year. Normally we cap it at 100. This year we took it up to 105. Our limit really is how many people can fit on the buses to get to and from the trailheads. And we don't want to add another bus. 2 buses is enough. So that's kind of our limit, but that does increase the potential bed nights for this event, which is 218, which is pretty great. Yeah. And yeah, it's been super fun now to have been in this role, and this will be my 3rd Coast Walk, but I have people emailing months in advance, from Florida and Texas and Colorado and Idaho and California and Washington, and like so many places they come to visit. And I think it's usually between 80 and 90% are or more than 50 miles away to participate in this event. So it's a 10-mile-ish walk every day along the Oregon Coast Trail for 3 days. And they meet at the Cannon Beach Chamber Hall, and we do a little breakfast and coffee, and we thank our sponsors, and it's a meet and mingle, build community of people. And then we bus them to the trailhead where they hike. And we bus them back to the community hall. Usually they get done lunch, late lunch time, noon, 1, 2. And then they have the afternoon and the evening to shop and dine and buy art and spend all their money. Yeah. Usually it's about half the participants have done Coast Walk before and about half are new. And it's been really cool because we talk about this process, like how we help offset our costs for the event. And so they know that we like them to spend.
My apologies. I have to interrupt that we have Friends of Haystack Rock that have this room at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And I just learned of this. So my apologies. I should have, and I look up and I see them out there. So I guess we have 2 options. But I guess we need to vacate the room is if, we can reconvene at our voting meeting and have you finish up there, or if we feel like there's any more questions that we need to have, or if we feel comfortable.
This is the 3rd time I've seen.
Yeah,
our
I mean,
program.
I'm comfortable with
I'm comfortable
with it, so I'm sorry that we let the time slip earlier and you're not getting your appropriate amount of time, but if you'd like, you are more than happy to join us before we do our vote, but if we feel like we have all our questions answered and we feel
Answered my
comfortable.
question. I said, how can you make it bigger?
Yeah.
Answer is no.
Not unless we make it.
You already answered the questions.
Well,
Yeah, right.
here's the question. Well, yes, it was more volunteers, but if you could have 50 more people on the bus, does it make sense and make it capable to do that?
We need another bus and we totally.
Does that impact other avenues of it?
Turn away those many people. How many people do you turn away?
No, it's been a pretty good balance. Usually there's a wait list, maybe 5 to 10.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Like if you had a wait list of 70 people, then it's like, maybe we should add a 3rd bus.
Idea though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's a growth strategy.
Totally.
Thank you guys very much. My apologies again. And my first time running this end of it, so I'm good, rookie mistake.
There are still